Hello, welcome to Waiting for Game, a podcast presented by Melee Stats. I am your host, Giving No Wheat. I am back from a week of vacation. I hope the place looks nice. Came in, place looks kind of clean. Looks like something crazy went down here last week, though. So I guess we'll try to figure out what happened. But before we get to that, we've got a couple great guests in this episode. I think this is going to be a really great episode because we're talking about LACS, which was an amazing tournament series. And we're gonna talk about Fate, which looks like it's shaping up to be an amazing tournament. So we've got some amazing guests. We've got one of the sickest players, honestly the most like electrifying personalities in Smash. We've got my good friend Edwin Budding. What's going on, Edwin?
I have so much I want to talk about this episode. I don't even know where to begin, but I'm
How do you
really
feel being
happy.
me last week, by the way?
It was pretty good. It was fun.
It's
We had
pretty
a
good.
great episode. But on this episode, I also want to
Would be
talk.
better if I were on, but yeah.
We'll see. We'll see what the
Debatable.
fans think. Yeah, but I'm really happy to be here. I'm really happy to be here, especially with one of my favorite players. I really like the way that he plays Fox. You just see his personality really shine in the character. Like he's great against floaties, and I'm talking about my good friend Ambi Sinister here. Ambi, what have you been up to? How's everything?
I've been busy, dude. I went to LACS and now I'm here. So probably not a unique story for our other guest here, but I've been doing good. So thank you for asking.
Oh yeah, we got Swift. Swift, what's up?
Yeah, Swift.
What's
Famously not electrifying, not very,
No.
good versus floaties. None of these things that we said apply to you. No, yeah, how's it going, man?
It's going good. Just got back and readjusting to normal life and not just waking up playing Melee for 12 hours a day. It was an exhausting weekend.
Yeah, let's get into it because I know that you were at Summit before. You were at Summit. Was it 14 just as like a VIP, right?
I went 14 as a VIP and 12
12
as
as
a
a
competitor.
competitor.
Yeah.
So you've been in this place before, and I guess to pull back the curtain to anyone who didn't realize it, which I guess it's possible that you didn't realize it. LACS was in the BTS venue. It was in the venue that held every summit since I believe 8. So this has definitely been a place that I know that you are familiar with, but a place that a lot of people, is probably their first time there. But yeah, let's get into it because this is an event that, like Summit, probably does take a lot out of you. And in addition to the Swiss pools into bracket, you also had to play an LCQ. So let's get your thoughts going into this. You are the 15th seed, which I think not only is that good seeding, I think it was. I think seeding that ends up being wrong still is good. I don't think that meets as bad seeding. But yeah, let's go into this. You've got you're coming off of not really entering a lot of big tournaments. So you're definitely a little some questions about you. Yeah, go into your thought process into the
So basically, like for a few months, I was just out of a controller because I got a bunch of prototypes of the Prism that like weren't fully functional because the person making them was just super busy and couldn't send me like the final fleshed out thing. So now that I have this bad boy, I was like, all right, I'm ready to start going to more tournaments and stuff. And I don't know, it was just like I kind of realized I never liked competing that much. I always hated going to tournaments, and I just liked playing Melee. So I just felt like I always felt like really pressured to enter tournaments and to like grind and do well. And even when I don't know, it kind of sucked a lot of the fun out of it. So I went to the nightclub VIP and I was just really like stressed and anxious. And I had like by far the worst tournament performance of my entire Melee career. So I'm pretty sure that's why I got seeded so low. And I just think it's kind of funny, honestly. And yeah, I
think it was fine seeding.
So yeah, I got there. I just didn't want to be there. It was just like 100 degrees. It was really hot and sweaty, and I was just not in the right headspace. And I was like, I know I got LACS, so I just got to go to this tournament and grind and practice. Then I entered, and I was like, I hated that. I never want to enter a tournament again. That wasn't fun. I don't like tournaments. And then I entered Coinbox 2 days later, and I didn't play at all, like from when I got knocked out of bracket till the first round of Coinbox. And I was like, I'm just gonna like do whatever. And I did pretty well. I went last off game 5 with Axe there, And that was like a lot of fun. And then in losers, I just like played Fox and like messed around, and I just had a good time. And I kind of told myself that like I don't want melee to like feel like work, especially for the LACS. Because a big reason why I went to LACS is because I was like, oh, this looks like a fun event to go to. Not because I wanted to compete really. It's like I know I'm gonna have a lot of fun here. So like leading up to it, the week and a half, 2 weeks after what's that called? Nightclub VIP. I was like, screw this. I'm just gonna do whatever I feel like it. No pressure. If I go like 0-2 at the last chance qualifier, I don't care. I'm there to like just hang out. And like my friends like Zain, Moki, and Salt, like they all got invited, and I'm like close friends with all of them, and I wanted to hang out with them too. So yeah, and then I didn't play at all, and then I did good in the bracket somehow. I don't know how that.
Yeah, I would say so. I think you did pretty well.
Yeah, that was like, if you watch, I don't know, like if I watch myself play, I'm like, this is sloppy, but I went for like, all I was focused on was like, I just want to go have a good time and just like play melee, because I realized I was like, I don't like tournaments. I just like playing melee, and I was like, that's okay. You know, it's not like this whole thing where it's like, if you don't like going into tournaments, you have a weak mentality, you're not a hard worker, all that shit. I'm just like, fuck that. I just want to play a video game. I'm just gonna have a fun time. And it sounds really cliche to say that, but my whole mentality was like, well, if I get knocked out sooner, I can go drink and smoke sooner.
True.
But if I win, that's pretty cool too. So I was just like there for the entire experience and the whole event, as opposed to just competing. And that like, there was just like, it felt like there was no pressure after that. And I think that's what helped me like enjoy it, because I've never really like, that was the first time I've ever had fun competing. Like every other time, if you watch me or if like my friends know me, they're just like like I just look stressed as fuck and like anxious the whole time. But no, I don't know, I think I like unlocked some key part of my mental, and that was like a big speech about it. But yeah, that's kind of how I felt going into it. And then I got all the spacies, and I like spacies because that's what I'm like most comfortable with by far. So it was a good bracket, especially for me not being in good practice. And yeah, I kind of just looked at it like, normally I'm very like flowchart lab out. This is good here. This is good here. And it's just, I have so much shit going in my mind all the time. I think about my good friend Salt, who she's just plays and has no game plans really, and just does shit and just figures it out on the fly. And that's a skill that I really need. So I was just thinking like that. I'm like, I'm just going to do some crazy shit. And if it works, it works. If it's not, I'll adjust it. But I'm going to go for some wild shit. And that's just, I don't know, that just helped me like all that. Like, I don't know, I feel like I've been in a big like reworking and a lot of my like mentality and the way I look at the game. And it all just kind of came together really nicely at the tournament.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I think that a lot of that was pretty apparent even just from watching. I remember you versus Zamu was, I think he was up 3 stocks to 1.
Yeah,
right?
and I just dash danced in the corner. I backed the room.
I saw that. I like opened the stream. It was 3 stocks to 1. I say, hey, you know what? I think Swift can win this. And that is like obviously a testament to your skill, but also talks about like mentality, right? You know, a lot of people who go down 3 stocks to 1 may not be able to make comebacks. Yeah, do you feel like your mentality changed in this tournament, or is it just kind of similar to how you've always been playing?
I think it's like completely different now, because in the past I would be like, shit, I'm down 3 stocks to 1. I'm really good at this matchup. I should be doing better against it. Like, I didn't even think about that. Like, my brain was so like, especially during the Zamu set, I was so tired that day that I just turned to Moki and I said, I can't do this right now. I'm just going to play really cheesy. And then it worked, which is, I think, was really funny. But like, look at it like that is, it's like, what's going to get me through in this moment? What's going to help me do well for right now, and not just thinking too far in advance, and just thinking like, you know, I see like the way Zain and Cody play, and they're just like every ounce of their fiber and being is so tied up in like competing and being good. And I can't do that. That's just not me. And I try to think that way for so long. And now I'm just in California playing a video game that I like. Like, who gives a fuck? And that, I think that was the mentality that like really helped me do well, because there's like 5 or 6 people in the world who really should be like that. Or no, more like 10 or so people that make a full-time living off of Melee, and they just want to like work and play 24/7. But I think for most people, that's like not a healthy mindset. And you just have to find what works for you individually and for what works for your life circumstances. And I feel like I found a way to think about competing in the game that really works for me.
Mm-hmm. Ambi, I'm sure you've seen this just because you are a very diligent boy. You're a Fox main, obviously. Swift, you mentioned how Fox and Spaces in general is a matchup that you really love. That probably doesn't really. That's like not 1-to-1 with Axe, I imagine. I think that
No.
Axe being the Axe being the Pikachu like forever. I think that a lot of people kind of view Pikachu through the lens of him, but like as you continue to progress and as we see like J2 and other up and coming players, I think that we kind of learned that there's a lot of different ways to play this character, and it's very cool to see you show that off. I know you got to play him in bracket in a Pikachu Ditto at this. Like, what do you think is the biggest difference between how you play Pikachu and how he plays Pikachu?
I think it's like the clearest distinction between how an old school top player approaches the game and how a new school top player approaches the game. See, like, he is just like, he's gonna go to the tournaments, he's gonna practice a million characters, do all the wacky stuff, really focus it on like what the other player is doing, try to play the player. Whereas I'm like very studied, I'm in Uncle Punch, I'm practicing all my tech chases and all that stuff, and just making sure that like I have every little situation labbed out. And I think that is what makes me a lot better versus Spacies than him, is because I just have like the punish game labbed out so well and all my tech chases and everything so practiced, whereas he is kind of lacking in that area. So it's not even that I'm doing anything that much like fancier than him. I'm just hitting a lot harder and a lot more consistent than he is. And yeah, I think the Spacies, that matters a lot for some floatier matchups like Peach and Sheik, where it's not as like solvable, that like hard punish stuff. It's a lot of just making a lot of good decisions in neutral with like your dash dance timings and your instincts and mix-ups and all that. That's where he's really, really good. Like, I would say he's the better like melee player, but I play Pikachu better. I think he would agree with that.
I mean, Ambi, do you want to go on your little mini rant about Axe and Fox?
I feel like I do this every episode. I don't need to do it every single one.
We don't have you on very
But-
often, so every episode you're
Yeah,
on.
I
is
guess
not-
that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think that Axe would be a great Fox player. I think Axe being a great Fox player would take a lot of Craigslist ads for Pikachu merchandise. But yeah, no, I think it's funny thinking about like the distinction between playing a character versus being a better player. Because two things come to mind for that. The first is way back in the day, people said this kind of same thing about Pikachu versus Axe. This was kind of a distinction that was made really often, where like, and I feel like with Pikachu, it's like this especially because like all the Pikachus, it's really fun to like listen to them because they all like complain about the way Axe plays. They're like, oh, he doesn't do this, doesn't do that, just totally playing the character improperly. And then like Axe is on the screen and they're all like, let's go Axe, oh my god. So, but yeah, no. So the other one that comes to mind is, just for Fox is the distinction between like kind of the Fox players and Mango. Mango is I think the most fun example of this because. People regularly say stuff like, oh, yeah, Mango doesn't even really play Fox. He just plays a Fox, and it's like kind of like a Lovecraftian horror character, and he just beats you as a player, versus like Cody and I guess to some extent Leffen as well, where they're like trying to eke out every possible advantage of the character against another character or whatever. Just think that that's like a very common thread with especially, I think, more technical characters, this distinction between playing the player and playing the character.
Yeah, I think that I usually, whenever I tell somebody the way that Axe plays compared to me, it's like, yeah, he's more like if Mango played Pikachu, because he's just going for like crazy reads and stuff that like, oh, that shouldn't work, but he made it work. And it's just like wild stuff that looks like he's overcomplicating it, and then he just does something crazy, and then he'll nair his opponent when they're at like 10%, and then he'll get reversaled off of it. Which that's when the Pikachus get angry, because when Axe is nairing that too low of percent, he gets reversaled off of it. But yeah, I think that is like the same thing applies with me and him.
Well, I think the distinction between Pikachus is a really interesting thing, and it's something that one of the cool things about Melee recently, even as you mentioned, Pika Chat, more and more character representation has brought this into the forefront. That being said, let's get into the other character. Let's get into the other side of the coin. Edwin Budding. I have a question for you. You are a Melee journalist. You're a historian, a Smash historian. You are literally the guy who wrote the book on Melee. Has Hungrybox went full degen ever? There are claims that he has never gone full degen, and I have to ask you, are these claims true? Can you verify these? Is there any veracity in the statement?
Yeah, so it's funny, right? Because the thing with Hungrybox's career is that like he basically does this every time he's in trouble, but he's kind of like, oh, like it'd be crazy if I just went full Dark Souls boss mode, right? If I just camped the ledge forever. And the thing is, it's like he's done that. He's done that, and it just like it works for a little bit, and then it like stops working. Then he stops doing it, and then he talks about how he could do it if he really wanted to. But like the thing is, like even when he tries to do it, it's not always successful. I think the problem I have with him is that like he positions it as if he holds the game of Melee under his hands, right? As if he's choosing to let the opponent win by giving them the grace of not camping them or whatever. Which to an extent, I think he does truly believe that. I think there are people who he beats who truly believe that as well, and I don't think they're necessarily wrong. But I think to the extent in which he exaggerates it making a difference against like Cody or Zain or someone that he feels like that's the only way he can beat them. Yeah, I think it's BS. He talks about this all the time. Oh my god, can you imagine if I played even campier than I did now? Well, like you've tried, and it doesn't always work.
Yeah, they're just really good players. They don't give him the lead, and then he's just like, there's nothing I can do.
Yeah, I don't know.
Dude, I gotta say it, dude. Him and Leffen do the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
They do the same thing. Leffen has done the exact same thing about the exact same thing. Like, I'm gonna go puff on ranked, and I'm gonna kill the game in Europe, and there's nothing any of you could do to stop me. And then he'll like do one stream where he beats like 30 gold players on ranked, and then he's like, I don't want to do this anymore. This is stupid. This is a waste of time. And then he won't do it. And Hungrybox is the same. I think deep down he's the same as all of us, right? Like he grabs the ledge and he spends like 3 minutes and he's like, this is so fucking boring. I can't take it. But for Hungrybox, like there's like actual financial monetary victory incentives attached to it. So he like is more willing to tolerate it than like I guess Leffen on ranked or whatever. But I just feel like I've been hearing this since the fucking dawn of time. Like, oh, Mute King did this too, right? Like, oh, I could camp the ledge. I could totally break the whole game. There needs to be character-specific ledge grab. Like, dude, one of you needs to do it. I've never actually seen it. I need to see it because I've been hearing this myth for like 10 years now.
Well, again, I just want to say that like doing the thing that he's positioning it as if it is this unbeatable skill he has developed. I don't even think that's true. There's so many times where he camps Zain or whatever when he has a lead, and it basically just wastes 2.5 minutes off the clock and becomes an even game again. Like, get out of here, HBox.
It worked for us.
What is this guy talking about?
This year.
It does work a lot. It is real. I think the idea that the whole like concept behind saying like ledge grab limit and planking, it's not because it's unbeatable. It's because it's just incredibly degenerate, and that's not a skill that we value as like competitors. It's not like, oh, if you get a lead and you just grab the ledge and you just don't interact for 8 minutes. Like, sure, it's beatable. It's like wobbling. It's like, yeah, you won, but at what cost? It's just we don't value that as an actual like skill that you're outplaying your opponent, which is why we have other things banned. That's why we got items banned, which is why we got Poke Floats banned. So I just view it as another one of those. It's just like, oh, this is incredibly degenerate. Sure, I could win, but it's just like, Like why? Like, you know, this isn't testing my skill as a player in a productive or like a proper way, I guess.
Mhm.
So I think that's the more important thing. Is it's like, how can we have a competitively sound game as opposed to, is this unbeatable? Because wobbling ices weren't winning majors, you know.
I just think it's crazy because like he tries to do it. It's not like
yeah.
yeah. It's not like something that like I'm gonna do this now.
There's no rhyme or reason to when he does it too, right? It's like
Just
if
felt
you
like planking me.
if you went into this weekend,
weekend.
just like being like, all right, is HBox gonna camp the ledge? I'd be like, no, I don't know. Like I've got no reason to think that he will. And then that he plays you. You have a bit of a history with him. I mean, I just know your set history, and then I know that he got on the mic, and I'm not sure if you heard this. He said that you guys had way saltier sets online, and I don't need to fling shit around. I want to know, one, I guess maybe follow up on that, and then two, I just kind of want to know, like, going into a set with HBox, you're someone who's beaten him online before, played him once before, I believe this one in person. Like, what do you prepare for? So I guess one. The saltier sets in this, but two, yeah, like how do you get into an HBox set? How do you like get into the right mindset for that?
I was about to say I was surprised that he said that, but I was not surprised. He's just always saying some HBox is always saying some crazy shit. I'm not. I don't think I've had like salty sets with him online, or like saltier than what I've Okay, someone posted a clip, so. Okay, yeah, never mind. That I'm reminded by the clip that person just posted. I have flamed him after I've lost to him, but in like I'm kind of salty, but I'm also just like poking fun and just being funny on the stream. Nothing like crazy, but yeah, I've been him online too when he's just like, he's just holding forward and just like going last hit for the content. I've won those sets, but like preparing for him it's always like a monumental task for me, because it's like I gotta have my secondary Fox good, and just playing like multiple characters it's hard. Even though Fox Puff is like the easiest, I think it's like one of the easiest matchups in the game. It's so brain dead. I still have to prepare really well for all of his exact bullshit, and I was surprised that I did this well against him, because as I said earlier, like I didn't practice much at all for this event, and I didn't expect to make it to the main bracket even. So I didn't even play Fox for like a week or two straight before the tournament. I 3-0'd Khalid in LCQ, and I played 4 friendlies against Dawson. That was just like the only Fox I played the entire week. So like I was just going in it with the thoughts of like, all right, I'm really good against Puff. I'm pretty rusty in it, but I could just make some shit work, It's just like I said earlier, just getting better at just playing off the cuff and all that shit. And honestly, I was still in like the just have a good time kind of mentality. And I also just think Hungrybox is just such a funny person. Just like he's just like a real life cartoon character to me. Like he's hilarious. Yeah. And I see when he planks people, I also find it hilarious. So I was getting planked by him, and I was like, yeah, I made top 8 already. Like I was just like, I was in such a good mood. And I think him as a person is so funny that I'm just like, I thought it was funny. That's why I was BMing him so much. It's just because I wasn't even like that mad about him planking me. I knew it was coming. It's like you play Hungrybox, he planks you. It's like, oh, I didn't see this coming. No, I've had that plan for months. Months ago, I was like, if I play HBox, I'm just gonna start BMing him just because it's funny. I gotta keep myself entertained. So you want me to just like dash dance intently while he's holding the leg? No, I'm not gonna do that shit. So I think there was one moment in the set where the whole set I was just dash dancing while holding ASDI down, which is easier to do on like digital controllers, but it's not impossible to do on GameCube controller either. It's just a little more awkward. But he thought that was just purely box tech, so he was mad and he wouldn't want to hit me, because if you hit a Fox at 0, that's ASDI down. You should need to grab up there up air. So that happened once. And then I did the little certain advanced maneuver with the light shield button.
Yeah.
And then he grabbed me, he down threw me, and then he hard read my tech in place with a rest. And then he just looked over at me. And this was the moment that I won the mental battle, at least at that moment. Because he probably, I knew he thought I was pissed off, but I just laughed at his face. I thought that was hilarious. I was proud of that. But yeah, it's just like, I got on a fucking long ass tangent again. My bad, but
It's hard to talk about HBox and not go on one. Like, for better or worse,
he's just a
this is
wild guy.
Not even like purely just trying to spew negative things about him.
No.
Like, he is impossible to talk about without talking about at length. That's just
Yeah,
It's
what
his brand. He controls
he's
the narrative.
hilarious. Yeah,
he does control the narrative.
he controls the narrative. Dude, I had a conversation with him at the bar, and it was wild. This is HBox controlling the narrative. He was just like, "Yeah, we gotta ban that box. The next time we come to the coin box, we're gonna have an open discussion. We're gonna ban the box." I'm like, dude, why you want to ban the box? It's not that. I was like, whatever. Like, we're gonna get it nerfed, yada yada.
Also, can he just do it? It's his tournament.
He could, yeah, and he just keeps talking about it. But I was like, we're gonna nerf
Wow, someone
it.
should really ban the box at Coinbox. Says the Coinbox
Yeah,
TL.
yeah. And I was like, we're gonna nerf it. I'm on the team of people that's nerfing it. It's gonna get nerfed by next year, you know, all this stuff. And he goes, the nerfs aren't gonna be good enough. Like, you don't even know why. I haven't told you what happened. And I was like,
awesome.
we're both evil. I was like, you planked me. We should do something about that too. And he goes, no. I'm like, why? He goes, because I still lose to Cody and Leffen. Like, okay. Okay, so your logic is that we should ban the box because it's broken, but planking's not broken because he loses to Cody and Leffen. But he beat me while I was on the box, so I don't. It's just wild, all the loopholes that he goes through, and I can't take him that seriously. When
I don't
he's
know.
just,
He
like,
is making a good
complaining.
argument. I don't know why, but it's
Yeah, I'm
good in
actually
my
on his
brain.
side because
I
Cody and
can't.
Leffen beat him.
Cody and Leffen beat
It's like,
him,
yeah, of course it can't be broken. Cody and Leffen beat him.
Yeah,
I'm actually going to use that example for any argument I'm involved in. Like, I'm just going to say Cody and Leffen beat HBox. So
yeah. Like, what the fuck?
And it's like your spouse asking you to take out the trash. They're
Yeah,
just like, I
you're
don't know
like-
what that means. What do these words mean?
But yeah, no, I thought that was just like a funny interaction I had with him. But I think from now on, I'm definitely gonna just if he does that, I'm just gonna do whatever the fuck I want on the stage because
Mhm.
I gotta have fun somehow. I gotta entertain myself while the game is at a stall point.
yeah, well, I'm glad you went Fox versus
Oh,
HBox.
I'm never
I'll
going
prove that.
Pikachu.
I'm glad you were picking your best character against HBox and
Yeah.
trying your hardest.
Yeah, and it was like I did really well considering I did not prepare at all for him. I just think that's the matchup I learned Fox for, so I'm just really solid in it. And I think it was just like the mental stuff. If I could have like game 3 was like last hit, and I could have clutched it out, but just you can't get them all. But yeah, I couldn't even like ledge dash. If you look at me in the corner, I just cannot I'm just always awkward double jumps because my Fox is so rusty. And I was just so rusty the whole weekend. I got away with it because I just hit so hard still somehow.
I like how you went past Edwin. Edwin was definitely trying to set off Ambi on either Axe going Pikachu versus Puff, or
He should not
maybe
go
it's
Pikachu.
J-Mook going Sheik versus Puff. I don't know what Edwin is doing, but he was trying to like punch the
Or
codes into
Mango
Ambi to get
going
a rant.
Dr. Mario.
Okay,
Yeah.
well,
But I think that
let's talk
one was
about
actually cool in the end. Unfortunately,
I want to
for
talk about
everyone.
that in a
It's
second,
cool.
but before we make the decision on if it's cool, Swift, I just want to wrap kind of up with your whole run at this tournament. You mentioned next time you play HBox. Yeah, what does the future hold for you? Are you going to anything in the future, or are you going to kind of stick with competing? I know you talked about competing in tournaments is not necessarily your thing.
Yeah. I think acknowledging the fact and coming to the realization that competing isn't the thing I love about Melee. It's more so playing the game and getting good at it. Took a lot of pressure off of me or myself about like competing in general. So now when I went to LACS, I was just more focused on having a good time and like playing Melee. And I was in a tournament. It's not like I'm going to this tournament to compete. I will eat my vegetables every day. I will get 8 hours of, it was just like, yeah, I'm just having a good time. I was just drinking at night and just, yeah. So I really don't know. I'm really just want to do what I feel like it. That's like my new goal is to do whatever I feel like it and not feel pressured to do anything. I'll probably enter. I will enter some more stuff. Definitely SmashCon. I'll be there. I'll probably enter, but that's the thing is like I want to enter because I genuinely want to enter. So if a week before I'm just like I don't feel like entering, I'm just not gonna enter. But I still want to go. So I don't know. That's just my fucked up way in my mind for me to not stress about it. But I will probably enter. There's a high chance I'll like enter SmashCon, Shine, Riptide, Big House, and like maybe some other stuff in between there.
Nice. Well, I hope to see it. You were super fun to watch, but also I just hope whatever your decision you make is one you're happy with. But speaking about people who enter tournaments and might not want to actually enter them, let's get into some interesting character choices we saw. Edwin, you were talking about people who go maybe not their best character versus Puff. Was there anyone here who you thought didn't go their best character versus Puff? Because we saw Swift go Fox versus Puff. That's obviously his best character in the matchup. Was there any player at LACS 5 who went to character that you do not think was actually their best option versus Puff?
Yeah. I'm just gonna say it. I think out of people on this podcast and just people involved in Melee Stats, I would consider myself like pretty favorable towards Mango, relatively speaking. But yeah, I gotta say it just kind of a
He set
shame
you up
that
so nice for the Zain Ice Climbers bit. He set you up so perfectly.
well he said
You
Hungrybox.
just ignored his setup, dude.
He said Hungrybox.
I did say Puff. I did say.
Yeah, or
you know
Puff,
what?
Excuse me.
Maybe there was multiple people who did not go the best character versus another character. Anyway.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't mind talking about the Zain Ice Climbers for a bit, but we can go in a bunch of different directions here. As far as Manga goes, yeah, I mean, like you want to see his Fox. I get it that he did not feel like he had that dog in him that day, and he just wanted to have fun or whatever. And I think that's fine. He's allowed to go whoever he wants, but it doesn't mean like someone watching it has to like it, right? Like that's totally fine. It doesn't have to be a big deal. It's just like, oh, Mango's going Dr. Mario again. Like, all right, I guess this is it. I don't know what more. I think that any extent to try to make this into like actually it's cool that he went Dr. Mario, or actually this is his best chance. No, it's
yeah. I mean, we like went through this at Genesis, right? And I think that it's just like doesn't mean as much anymore. I think the difference between going Genesis was like going Doc at Genesis. That felt clearly maybe like guy who runs the top 100 rank voice, but it felt like clearly vindictive in a way that this doesn't really feel it. And like we also learned a lot about Mango since then, right? Like he's gone Marth, and we kind of have some ideas on that, but also it really just seems like we are in real time seeing someone who's like trying to figure out like if they actually want to compete and then not competing and then being like, well, that doesn't feel right either. Like it just like seems like a hard situation, and it is one that is in front of thousands of eyes. And yeah, like it I don't know. I don't want to speak for him. I don't really know what it feels like to be one of the best of all time at a video game for 15 years and have to deal with that. But yeah, it definitely seems like this is just a hard career decision, and he wants to play Melee, and might not actually want to play Melee as much as he wants to like playing Melee. And because of that, we are seeing stuff like that. Him playing HBox and just go, you know what? Fuck it. Like, right, we talked about how HBox can be, especially considering this was after HBox said, well, maybe I go full degen, right? Like, this was post that comment. So I guess, like, I give him some credit for that. Yeah, I don't know. I think the future of Mango is going to be really interesting to see from here, right? Like, generally, it's something that we have not had in the Melee community. I think that the closest parallel is probably, like, Isaiah in 64. I don't think that's 100% correct, because Isaiah was, like, he's like, I'm just going to go Link at this tournament. And he would, like, be like, only Link, and would do it. And, he would get, like, 5th or something like that. And he had tournaments that he really wanted to win. And that is kind of the aspect that I think to see from Mango. I think that regardless of like what decision he makes in between now and October, when Big House rolls around, he's either gonna want to win Big House or mad that he didn't enter Big House, right? Like I think that he will kind of oscillate between kind of really wanting to win things and not wanting to win other things, I guess. I don't know. It's tough to say, and I'm sure that armchair psychology isn't helping this one. So I'll step away after this one. Evan, yeah, what do you think?
Yeah, I think the Isaiah example you bring up is actually pretty interesting. Even if it's like a bit extreme, because eventually the 64 scene, did move beyond the specter of like, oh, like what would happen if Isaiah played Pikachu, right? Like the field just got really good.
Well, because he didn't win everything. Like
Yeah,
he did that. Yeah.
the field got really good. The scene was really happy, and I think that I think it's fine for Mango. After 15 years of being the greatest player of all time or whatever, like that's totally fine for him. Like he can do with Melee whatever he wants, right? But I think the cool thing is that like regardless of what his decision is, like the game will move on. Like it'll continue having players that are exciting. Mango can remain exciting in a way. He still had a pretty good event, like beating, like all things considered, beating someone like Moki, making top 8. I just think that yeah, I mean, I think the game will be all right with or without him, and whatever he wants to do in whatever capacity he wants to be involved with Melee is ultimately his choice.
Andy, what do you think on this, and how mad is he going to get at us when he gets ranked 12th?
Okay, well, I'll start with the second half because I think it's a little bit more normal. I think he'll be upset. It's fine. I think that we're kind of used to this by now, right? Like, I think that this isn't the first time that Mango has had like a season which was probably lackluster by his standards, that was not really representative of his actual skill level. It's just how it happens. I do want to talk about Doc Lee though, because I think Mango going Doc Lee saved the tournament. I'll say it. I'll be the one that's brave enough to say it.
You're smoking crack. This is worse than Chroma trying to convince me that Triff could win LACS.
Let him cook. Let him cook.
No. Like, hear me out here. So, HBox goes on Twitter, and he's like, "I choked 3 energy drinks. I'm gonna make love to the ledge, and I'm gonna kill the game, and I'm gonna go as far as I can in this tournament." Right? And he does that to one guy who is on this podcast today, right? And then he runs into Mango, who sees the tweet and is like, "I will not do this unless Ludwig compensates me for it." And Ludwig is like, "No." So he goes Dr. Mario, right? Clearly throwing. And Hungrybox is like, "All right, I don't need to camp this guy because he's playing Dr. Mario. Like, I could probably just hold W and just completely destroy this poor Dr. Mario, right?" And then he loses a game. And like, I cannot imagine being Hungrybox and like experiencing the amount of mental damage that losing a game to Mango's clearly throwing Dr. Mario would have done to my psyche, right? Like, you see him like in the Zain set immediately after, he has no energy to do ledge camping stuff. He just like just plays normally. He just completely abandons his like, I'm gonna destroy this tournament with ledge camping. Like, the caffeine is completely worn off because he's decided that in order to beat Dr. Mario, he needs to camp the platforms. Everything's ruined. Hungrybox doesn't have it in him anymore. He feels like the tournament has an asterisk for him anyways, even if he does win. And then we get the great top 4, which was awesome. So I think in the end, maybe not great for Mango, definitely not great for Hungrybox, the best possible outcome for the tournament. I loved the ending of it too much for me to be like, oh, it was so bad. This would have been so much better if, like, he got like momentum from 3-0ing Mango's Fox and pummeled Zain and then popped off on Cody Schwab. You know what I mean? Like, there's so many avenues for it to go so bad.
Yeah, him Zain was pretty close. That was a fun set.
There are lots of interesting ways this event could have gone, and I think it's hard because of Swiss and LCQ and basically the ways that things ran. It's hard to see any one thing and say like that was a good result or that was a bad result, because you're right. Like, Josh Man versus HBox was heartbreaking.
That was a wild set. That was so sad.
Like, I think that the good thing is that like, he lost versus HBox, and hear me out, is that like we all were kind of like getting used to the idea of HBox making their reverse 3-0 like basically instantly. So like we were already coping with the idea really early on. But yeah, no, that was like so incredibly sad, and yet it needed to happen because then he goes into the next round and he plays Leffen. He beats Leffen, and that is like a great win. And also, that could be sad for Leffen fans, but guess what? Leffen wins the tournament. Like if Leffen beats Joshua, maybe he doesn't get the same bracket. It's a weird thing. So maybe you're right, Ambi. Maybe Doc Lee did save the tournament. Maybe Hbox actually saved the tournament as well
right.
by beating Josh, man.
That's funny.
Thank you, cliche.
Okay, man. Edwin, for someone who considers themselves a grill master, you shouldn't let anyone else cook. Yeah, Amber, you weren't here. He's a grill guy. He stands behind the grill at barbecues. Does that seem like his?
Yeah, that
vibe
checks
to you?
out. That definitely checks out.
No way. You behind the grill, man? I don't see it.
Well, is he cooking at the grill, or is he just standing there? Because that's kind of the
he's
vibe that I'm
cooking.
imagining, right?
He's got the tofu dogs and the cheese kebabs.
That's good. I'm kind of vibing with the mental image. Like a beer in one hand and like the spatula in the other, and like he's not actually doing anything. He's just like existing, like kind of as a furniture prop next to this cooking meat. That's Edwin. That's him at majors, like with his book of bets and his GameCube controller. Just grilling, man.
Yeah, we haven't seen those bets in a while. Hopefully, Gom will have some bets.
Dude, because people keep thinking he's got like a gambling addiction. I've been talking about this. I love when you talk about this.
Yeah, so it's a mix. So I usually get like two things, or there's like three responses I get, right? The first response is like, you need help. I don't want to enable this. The second response is that people don't want to bet with me because they think I have like some hidden knowledge outside of set count, right? And then the third response is that they get scared off by the initial asking price. So it's usually one.
Yeah, don't you go up and you say like a year of Patreon?
Yeah, I go for a year of
That's crazy. That's $50. Okay. Well, anyway, I do remember. What was your one bet at Genesis 8?
Oh, the one bet. Yeah, I lost this one. There was this Notorious in Calvin. It was Aiden. I bet on Aiden.
I have zero idea why after like 2 years of in the pandemic and how we joked about like we're gonna get to the pandemic and we're gonna bet on all these players that no one knows versus established names.
I thought Aiden is good.
We get there, and Aiden like one of the most popular Smashers, a guy who like, if you know Smashers, Aiden at the time for right now, as weird as it sounds, is one of the ones that you're gonna know, like one of the first ones, and a guy who like really, frankly, not a lot of people know, Notorious, who we know is good. And you go.
I think Aiden was very. I think Aiden was very
any
good.
Yard fan. We could have made so much money.
Yeah, I don't know. I think he's really good. He made a big losers run that event. I just bet on him when he lost. What can I say?
Anyway, speaking of people who went on losers runs, we saw some stuff here. I mean, I guess Leffen technically wasn't a losers run because that was in winners, but we saw some. It
kind of was a losers run. I was talking about this.
Yeah.
I want to briefly interject. He did lose a lot in Swiss.
He did.
Right?
He did.
So
it
kind of felt like a losers run.
He lost to Josh?
Joshman, and he lost to.
Oh, he lost to Cody also.
He lost to Cody.
Cody,
yes.
that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then he like won through winners, which is very funny because it was like a losers run through winners. And I've always thought of like, I feel like I mentally break people up in like kind of losers bracket players versus kind of winners bracket players. And I feel like Leffen is historically very much a winners bracket sort of player. And I think this was kind of perfect because it was like he got his little losers run, even though he didn't actually start in losers somehow after losing twice, right? So it kind of does feel like it was a losers run in a very funny way.
Swift, you didn't get to play Leffen in bracket this weekend, but what were your vibes on him as a competitor this week?
Yeah, I don't go on Twitter much, but everyone just kept saying he was complaining on Twitter about being rusty.
Know he really was.
Really? Okay. I heard he was complaining about being rusty a lot.
Well, yeah, that's the classic.
Yeah, I mean, that's just Leffen, but
yeah, he adds. Like,
you did commentate him versus Axe though, right?
I did, yeah. That was a good set. What do I think about that? I don't know. I think Axe is getting better against Fox, and Leffen's like pretty good at the matchup. I don't think he's amazing at it. He's like pretty good at it, but he's just better than Axe, and it's a hard matchup. and Axe is like also not amazing versus Fox. So that's usually why he would lose. But whenever I watch Leffen and Axe, like even their last set, all I thought was that if Axe just had like my punish game, he would farm Leffen. Like I don't think it would be close. But yeah, he played. I mean, yeah, Leffen's just Leffen still. He's still like really, really cracked.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really know how else to put it.
Well, no conversation about Leffen this tournament can be complete without talking about his sets with Zain. You, obviously, good friends of Zain, training partner. Give me your thoughts on the ICs, because they really did work half of the appearances. Like, right? Like,
yeah. Zane's Ices is just like the epitome of just evil. Like, it's just, he just wants to win. And he's self-aware. Ices are like easily my least favorite character. I hate Ices. But I know Zayn, and he's just like, yeah, I'm just trying to win. And I asked him once, I was like, you don't think it's impossible, right? You just want to win really bad? He's like, yeah. So he plays Ices just to make his life easier, which is fair. You know, I mean, I play secondary too, and people choose whatever character they want. But he doesn't work on them holistically enough, I don't think. He's just like, I'm just going to use it against Sheik on this stage and this stage. And it's just, you can really clearly see the gaps. Like when he was behind, I was like, this is over. But if there was like another Ices player that like someone who was really a lot more familiar with the character and had a lot more experience with the character, if they went down like 2 stocks of 3 against Leffen Sheik, I'd be like, oh, it's still Ices. But Zane's Ices just aren't there yet. I think he's got to put in like a lot more work into it. And the transformations were the big thing too. He went Stadium, and the transformations just like screwed him over so bad. Because Leffen, he got the windmill, and he was just dancing up there, and it's just like, I don't know. I think he should have stayed Marth there, but I think FD was fine. I don't know. He gets into like counter pick wars. I don't think it's an awful idea. It just needs to be fleshed out a lot more. Is my take on it.
What do you think, Edwin?
Yeah, so I've seen a good amount of Zayn sets. I watch a lot of him versus Sheik. I think in general the big reason that he picked up the Ices, and Swift, you can let me know like if any of this is not correct. But just I know generally how the sets go and typically like what keeps him back. And for a long time, just in terms of game count and the weight, in terms of the set flow, usually what would happen is that he would never have a problem starting off a set doing really well against Jmook or Leffen, or even Pluck for that matter. The big problem for him was counter picks. Like he'd go to FD, he'd lose, and then he'd lose there again. Or then he'd go to Yoshi's, and then he'd lose. Or he'd go up 2-1 in the set, lose, and then blow his last counter pick or something. That was like a consistent recurring theme, especially against Jmook, where this is really, really, really a big problem. The reason he picked up Ices, from what I can gather based on the game count and from what he's talked about on a stream, is that he just wants a really reliable counter pick. So yeah. I think the reasoning is there. I don't think it's a terrible idea. Like obviously part of me just wishes he would only play Marth because his Marth is really good. Yeah. and I think is like the sets of like I know the set count is in Jmook's favor solidly at this point, but the set flow is pretty close. But I will say this much about the Ices. I've never seen something look so utterly dominant and simultaneously bad for a game. Like bad for his level at the top level, right?
Because he's labbed out and practiced all like the layer 1 stuff that he needs, like the chain grabs, the handoffs. But then it's like you put a transformation on there, it's a little quirky, and now he's just fucking like he has no.
I mean, he was still like dropping handoffs and stuff on FD.
Yeah, it's not clean. It's just like, he can do it, but he's not. And
I'm not against it.
Yeah, you got to start somewhere. You know, he's got to pull it out for the first time eventually, and it's just happened to be the first time he did it, and he lost. I mean, he took a game on FD. It looked still doable, but now he has a lot better of an understanding of what that'll be like in tournament. Sure, he pulled it out in like the biggest tournament of the year so far, but yeah, I don't think it was a bad idea.
What do you think?
I think going on Stadium was a bad idea. I think
Stadium. I agree with that. I agree with that. Stadium was a bad idea.
Yeah.
Stadium.
I think FD was fine though.
Yeah.
Like I think that he didn't play particularly well even on that stage, and it still looks pretty lopsided in Zayn's favor, which was super funny.
Yeah.
But when he went, yeah, we were talking about this at the venue. We were like, "There's no way, right? There's no way he goes ices on Stadium,
I
right? That
didn't
would be
think he
so
would.
weird."
I was surprised that he did that. Game 5
Yeah.
too.
Like with all the chips on the line, you'd take Ice Climbers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's so
Yeah.
psycho.
I think the other thing that kind of hurt him is that he won that FD game again in simultaneously terrible and dominant fashion.
Yeah.
But when he went back to Marth, he looked like he didn't have his footing for like the first
Yeah.
minute and a
It's
half.
pretty
of it.
challenging. That's like
Yeah.
one of the most challenging parts about playing multiple characters is
I
just
agree.
switching in the middle of a set. Especially if you are like if you're not used to it, especially like I've practiced, like I've just played ranked where I would just be like Fox game 1, Pikachu game 2, Fox game 1, Pikachu game 2. I like specifically practice that. I would go into Uncle Punch and I just alternate which character I go. And if you're not used to that, especially with like I play Pikachu and Fox, they're I think Pikachu and Fox is like the most similar you can honestly get between two characters. You know, same jump squat, you know, dash dance, nair, and up smash. You know, a lot of similarities there. But especially coming from Pikachu to Fox, it's like it's so easy. But going from like Marth to Ices is just so much more awkward, and it's especially if he's not practiced in it. It's hard. It's hard, especially because he has so much other like mental notes about everything Leffen does, and then you just gotta switch from like, all right, I'm gonna cheese him with my ices, and then it's just like, all right, back to like this raw as fuck, just like Marth Sheik set against this killer. So it's difficult.
Yeah, I know Leffen after the set, he got on the mic and he was talking about how he noticed that Zain was not really adept at switching. You know, this is like Zain's first serious non-Marth game, like in a tournament, right? You know, I wouldn't call like the Fox or anything because he doesn't go those in a serious matter. But yeah, he said that he was trying to like prey specifically on the fact of like making it hard for Zain to switch, and you know, we could tell that was definitely affecting Zain game 5, and also we could tell that Zain put a lot of thought into that because in grand finals we didn't see the ICs at all. So I guess the Swift question I have for you, you know, you're guys close to Zain. You are obviously also a top player. You know, you can kind of see some of these games that other people might not. Do you think that we see the ICs again? I know you said that like this was the first time, so it's obviously going to be a little rusty. There's still some stuff he needs to work on. And like, was it just the reason that he didn't go ICs set 2 is just that it wasn't there yet, or is this like a game plan that might just not come about anymore?
I mean, I didn't ask him all I remember him saying was he said to Spark in the elevator, like, should have dropped the ICs, and then Spark was like, nah, you just gotta work on them a bit, and he was like, yeah. That was basically, and I don't think he should drop them. It just takes a bit, you know, and his goal, the thing is like his goal with Melee is he's just so competitive and he's just like, I want number one. Whereas like with me is it's like, should I just go full Fox and, you know, only play Pikachu against like Falcon and Marth? It's like, well, if you really want to like push that, you know, technically it's better, but I'm also just not in his position. You know what I mean? So for him, I think it would make the most sense to just stick with it because it'll get there eventually. You know, it's his full-time job. He's a Melee player. You know, like wakes up for work in the morning. He's practicing his handoffs. So it's not gonna be hard. But if there's anyone that can do it, it's him. And I don't think he should drop it because of that. You know, if there's like another reason he wants to drop it, then that's okay. But like for me, it's like when I win with Pikachu, like I want to win with Pikachu a lot of the time, you know? I only go Fox when I feel like I really need to, but Zane's not as much like that with Marth. He just wants to win.
Yeah, interesting to see that because he's, you know, known as kind of one of the like character loyalist, I guess.
Yeah,
but you know, it might not be that way deep down. I know Axe like basically said on stream I think he said it, not basically. He just said, yeah, he doesn't feel like a Pikachu player. He's just a Melee player who plays Pikachu.
Yeah.
And it's like, he said that with a hat that had a Pikachu on it. So I'm like, okay, well, I wonder why we think you're a Pikachu player, dude. But no, I think you're completely right. And the one thing that I'll say about the Icy is, and like the fact that we didn't see it, is Leffen just is that way sometimes. Like, Leffen has those tournaments every single year where he just looks like the best player on earth, and you have to just like go, okay, well, it's gonna be really tough to beat this guy. That being said, the other side of that coin is yeah, he's got a lot of sets that like I'm sure the ices will be the deciding factor in. We saw a lot of sets where he's not hitting as hard as he normally does, and Zain is, and like yeah, I'm sure we'll see sets before the end of the year where the ices not only will come out, but they will be literally the reason why Zain beats Leffen at that given tournament.
Yeah.
Now
And
Edwin
Jake too.
yeah, well, I saw, I don't know where I saw it actually. I think I saw a Reddit post, and I don't remember what the source was. They were like, Zane's only going in for Leffen because J-Mook's Zelda's too good.
I've asked him about the Zelda many times. He's just like,
Yeah.
I think he said that Icy still win. You just gotta kind of know what you're doing. It's still not great for Zelda, from what I understand. I could be wrong, but that's kind of
That
the
sounds
vibe of
right.
it. Yeah,
Just given that it's Zelda.
yeah. It's just like it's just so
Careful,
messed
Andy.
up. It's so messed up that he's like, I got my one counter pick for one character of one player, and it's just the one character that can transform into like a not as bad or just a really weird matchup. Especially for like
That's so funny.
Sheik, it's like, I mean, I don't know much about Icy's Sheik, but like it just looks really bad, and it looks like you can just hit really consistently. Whereas the thing about it is like you're playing in tournament, and sure, Zayn hits all the crazy combos like consistently, but it's just so hard to do that over and over and over again against J-Mook and Leffen. Like you'll see, they'll live to like 200 against him, because that's just Marth. At the end of the day, you can't kill. So it's just nice to just be like, I got like Icy's on FD. I'm like chilling. Yeah, I think that mentality and just having that in your back pocket is just like a big sigh of relief, because the Sheiks are just too good. Like, I feel that way when I go FD against Spaceys. So I can just like, I'm up 2-0. I got 2 FD games in the back. That's nice. Yeah, like that's really, really big, especially when you're in the middle of game 2. It's just like, if I win this game 2, I'm in a really good spot.
Yeah, it was an incredible event, I think. Like, the Icy's counter pick was just like the cherry on top of this like whole ass amazing tournament, right? Like so many competitive sets, and this also was like hilarious and also good and really interesting to watch, this was a very weird thing that we've heard about, but also one that was like competitively viable as opposed to the Doc Lee set, which was fun, but for other reasons. It really just felt like, sometimes events like the confluence of a few different things happen, and it feels like you were watching in like capital I important event. And it felt that way here. Like I think that the BTS energy came through in a way. Obviously Ludwig being, as big as he is, adds a lot of weight to this, but also just like everyone seemed to be playing, trying to win. Except for Mango, which I know is like a funny thing to say, right? Everyone goes to tournament to try to win, but it really just felt like this was an important one for everyone who was playing. I know Cody, I think he got I know he got third place, and I think that he took that really hard. This is obviously a series, I guess Summit, a series that he did very well in. It really just felt like everyone took this as super serious, and because of that,
like
it felt so important. Yeah.
It's just
well,
like
let's
the
talk about
next
that because
Summit, honestly.
you have been to 2 summits. We mentioned it.
Yeah.
You were there, Ambi. You didn't go to any summits. Ha ha ha. This was your first time in the beautiful West Covina. I don't wait. Is that public? Yeah, I think so. The beautiful West Covina studio, formerly BTS. I guess I just want to ask you both: how are the vibes? Yes, Swift, as a person who was in the tournament for a very long time, considering you got top 8 here. What were the vibes here? How did they compare to the vibes as a competitor at Summit? And also, just like, you also went to a Summit not being a competitor. How did they compare to that?
It just felt like Summit is the thing.
Mm-hmm.
It just... The first day, not so much. I remember I got there the first day for the open qualifier. It was like... That was just... Like, the venue was a lot more open, too. Like, there's a lot of... There's space cut out because they had like production little rooms that they just opened up. So it was a lot more spacious than it was previously. They got rid of like the kitchen area and stuff. But They did, yeah.
The Raising Canes.
They were still serving food. They were still serving.
Okay.
It's not every meal. It wasn't every meal, but yeah. The first day not so much, but like as the tournament went on and like the top players, like the invitees started, and like then it felt just like Summit. Like everybody's there. Like Zain and Cody just stationed at a setup for like 9 hours straight. Everybody's trying to get in their friendlies. Some fucking dude's got his little fruit cup meditating before his set, like those kind of vibes. And they were just, and it felt like everyone was just like having a good time. It didn't feel like anybody that at least I talked to was just super stressed out. Like most nights, there's a brewery like
Yeah.
a block away, like a 2-minute
There's
walk.
two actually.
There's two? Yeah, it was
There's
just like
two?
really
Yeah,
nice.
there's
We
a
just
second
hung
one.
out. Everybody just hung out at the brewery like the night before bracket, and it was just like a really chill, just nice little hangout place. Because the nice part about those types of events is they're so much smaller, and I don't know, just like the bigger events, like so many people everywhere.
Yeah.
It's just a lot more draining. But with this kind of event, it's just like we all like top players kind of know each other. We just kind of migrate over to the brewery, like 20, 30 people group, and it's just chill. Then you go back to your hotel room, then you fall back asleep. It's just it felt very laid back compared to most tournaments, but still like that seriousness.
Yeah, if I can, I wasn't at this tournament. I was on vacation. I very much wanted to go to this tournament, but I ended up not going. But if I can, talk about my experiences as a Summit, just attendee, just viber, chiller, was that, yeah, it's a completely different experience. You're right, it's completely different. And I think that one of the great things about open bracket tournaments is that, like, everyone there. And one of the worst things about open bracket tournaments is that, like, everyone there, right? I generally don't tend to get, like, my social battery drained at events, but there's sometimes where, like, I think I might have explained this on the show before, I've, like, been in my hotel room just chilling by myself and then going, like, what are you doing, you idiot? You flew all the way here. 100 of your friends are downstairs in the convention center. Why are you in your bed, like, on your phone watching the tournament? And it, like, it doesn't feel like that at Summit.
No,
like,
not at all.
You obviously, like, miss hanging out with certain people, but getting, like, a smaller crew of people to hang out with, just, like, it still feels refreshing. You feel like you're able to hang out with fewer people more often and like have a event that's more connected to that. I'm gonna say one of the most privileged things I've said on this, but when Summit announced that they were shutting down, I didn't want to make it about myself because there's a lot of people that went through a lot of hard work to end up with a pretty unfortunate end scenario. But I was like, no, I'll never get to go again. I'll never get to go to that brewery. I'll never get to, like, hang out with Webbs on a beanbag. And the fact that, like, that still exists, and even though I didn't get that experience this weekend, I'm glad that someone got to, right? I don't know. Ambi, were you on the beanbag hanging out with Webbs?
Yeah, no, I wasn't.
Okay, I'm glad that someone gets to do that.
Beanbags.
I actually was about to bring up the beanbags earlier because it's just such a chill place, like the venue. So if I was tired, I'd just throw on my headphones and just lay on the beanbag for an hour. I just saw like Hbox just taking a nap on the couch, his little bare feet out. It was so tempting to not go and tickle his little foot while he was sleeping. That would have been wild. Poking a bear. That's what that was. But
I also definitely fell asleep on one of those beanbags for like 4 hours.
It's
he was
just
conked
so
out
comfortable.
on Friday.
Yeah, and on Sunday when I was just watching the bracket, just got a lot of drinks in me, and I was just sitting there, just like, it's just so chill, and it's so much easier to not get overwhelmed at something like that, where it's just like, just go lay down, or you just, there's all this little content-y stuff on the side too that the top players were doing, so it was just like fun. It just felt like Summit.
Yeah, one of the interesting things that I think I if I ever get a chance to ask, like, people who are Summit mainstays, is I wonder how the content differs, because I know that, like, the way that BTS did content was obviously amazing, and I think that, like, their stamp on Smash content is still felt to this day, but also was this kind of thing where, like, I know players had to be pretty involved. The thing with the difference, like, with LACS, if we ever see this thing again, if we continue to see it on a more regular basis, is that, like, the biggest stars at Summit were the players, that's not the case for LACS. Like, we saw content. There was just like Ludwig and Slime, and you know, like I guess Zain and Mango were in that piece, but like, yeah, I wonder like how that'll affect it. But I guess to go on to like something that we have the answer to. Ambi, you were attendee of LACS as well. Unfortunately, you ran into Nut in bracket. You did not qualify like Swift did. You didn't make top 8 here, so you got some more time as an attendee. This was your first experience in the BTS studio, so I know that you don't have to anything to compare to in terms of Summit, but just as opposed to like a regular tournament, how did this fare for you?
Yeah, no, I pretty much echo Swift's sentiment. Like I don't like you mentioned, I don't really have anything to compare it to with regards to Summit specifically, but unlike you, I am someone whose social battery gets drained pretty quick usually, and definitely a standout thing about this tournament is that didn't really feel like the case at all. Like I think it's really easy for me, like at big majors especially, like to just feel super overwhelmed. Like I remember Genesis 8 was like my favorite tournament ever, right? I remember like going to Guild House after like the final day, and like there were so many people and it was so loud, and I'm like, I gotta get out of here. I gotta get out of here. And I like went back to the hotel and I just sat there like for 2 hours, and I was like, this feels really lame, but I can't do it. It was too much. But like, you know, there are only like 30 people in the venue for Saturday Sunday, so it was like if I felt like overwhelmed at any point, I could just sit on the couch and it was fine. So definitely like a really, really relaxed vibe. I definitely wish that I got my warm-up game in bracket before I got to play Nut, but my winners round 1 DQ'd, so the first melee I played in like 4 months was versus Nut. He destroyed me. But, you know, that happens. That's just how it goes. But yeah, no, it was a super fun tournament. Like, the vibes were super, super good. If it happens again, I'm definitely going. Super recommend.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think that's one of the big questions is, you know, if this happens again. But regardless, you know, they have been so good to us, right? Who remembers? Who amongst us remembers when I didn't like Ludwig? That was a past that was not too distant, and yet, you know, nothing has proven that the crew loves Melee more than getting literally big enough to not do any Melee and still continuing to do it. Yeah, this is like by far one of the most fun events that I've got to that I had watching. And one thing I'll add before we go on to another amazing experience event, which is Fete, is that I try to go to majors. I try to, like, you know, hang out, go. I don't get a chance to watch a ton, like, huge, important majors on stream. And it's a completely different vibe. And, you know, sometimes it's very fun to be able to just, like, click and watch your stuff while, I don't know, laying in bed. But I have not gotten a chance to hear commentary at an event at this level in a while, and they all killed it. I had to do the thing where I gushed a little bit. I don't do this ever. I messaged Slime, and I was just like, dude, I'm so happy that you and all the people are, like, representative of the community, right? You know, people, this could be a lot of people's first time watching an event, and, you know, you can't make a first impression twice, and I think that, like, this crew of commentators, all of them not only work great, all of them, like, did some of the best commentary I've seen. And Swift, I know you didn't get a chance to like, hear it, but take my word is that, like, whatever you expect, like, whatever your highest expectation of the couch is, I think they killed it. Yeah, I just cannot, like, give more high praise of the commentary at this event, so I hope that we see some more soon.
I heard it was really good. And I watched back my sets with the commentary on, and I thought it was really entertaining. I liked it a lot.
Yeah, I genuinely thought that. So I wrote a big, like, commentary breakdown piece last year where I talked about, like, things that I noted that were really good in commentary, just other commentators' thoughts on things that they want to emphasize and stuff. And usually when I think of, like, really good commentary, I almost think of it in terms of blocks. So, like, 2 blocks that I think of that I thought were just, like, fantastic off the top of my head, like, even more so than the high standard that's usually delivered by some of these people are. I usually think of the first half of Genesis 8, which sounds weird because I was there for it, but when I rewatched the VODs, it was still as electrifying as when I saw it, and, like, the commentary carried it. I thought Vish and Chillin were great that half. I think that the first week of SCL, everything was just firing on all cylinders, and I thought this event, the whole thing was great, but I thought the last chance qualifiers, I thought, for whatever reason, I feel like it was just Brandon's energy or something. It just completely elevated the level of the couch and everybody around him. It was honestly some of the most fun I've had watching Melee on stream in like a really long time. Even when there weren't sets on, the banter between everyone, the way that they would talk about the players, the unique insight they had, the way that they were able to keep it entertaining. It was just like it was so remarkable. But I think that I think more events should strive for that kind of feeling from spectators, because it was great.
I think,
Was it Webbs who dropped the pickleball line? Was that him?
Yeah, it was Webbs.
That was the funniest shit ever. I mean, like at a weekend that like had me. I'm generally not a person who cracks up at commentary. This weekend did it for me. That was the funniest thing that I heard this weekend. Melee is like pickleball. Jesus. No, amazing event, and yeah, I hope we get to see some more of it. And one of the cool things is that like all of the great stuff that we saw at the top level only continues, because we have Fate coming up this weekend. We've got Gommel, and then after that we've got SmashCon and Shine, and we're really getting into the thick of it. So like, this is pretty much a perfect event to start this like summer season off really strong. But yeah, that being said, we've got a few of these players who are going to make their way over to the UK. I know some of them are already there, because we have Fate coming up this weekend. Fate 3 by the Sea. This is the largest iteration of Fate, I believe. The successor to Air. This is the UK's biggest tournament. This is Melee's biggest tournament for Europe. This is a tournament that I famously went to last year and got COVID at and didn't actually go into the venue. But regardless, I've heard that the tournament itself is amazing. Unfortunately, I was in a hotel that did not have air conditioner or a fridge, and was not able to go outside. I didn't have a laptop on me. I only had my phone. But I heard the tournament is good. But yeah, we're going to see a lot of like a lot of high-level competitors here. And I guess the question I have for you guys is that, like, how much do we think this is going to count, right? How much do these two things mix? Because Fate and Air before it has been known as this, event that has been like super competitive driven, super attendee driven. Things that like you can drink a lot there. There's a lot of like side games. There's a lot of sets before you even get to bracket. How do we think that and the idea of all the top level players, like how do we think those will coalesce? Edwin, what do you think? How serious is Fate going to be? How much is this going to affect the top 10 this summer? Like what do you think actually happens here?
So I think usually when American talent, especially talent of the kind of your Zains, your J-Mooks, Codys, I think usually when it comes to these events like Fate, back in the day, Air, and just any large European event, the people who are spending or have their sponsors spending thousands of dollars to send them on this trip or whatever, they're going to take it pretty seriously. But I'm going to tell you the people I'm worried about. I say worried, that's in quotation, but they're going to have a great time. The people I'm worried about are the Europeans that we don't see at bigger events that often. Because one recurring theme that I've found with, Fate and Air in these series is I usually get very excited to see strong European players taking other strong European players on at these kinds of events, only to get heartbroken because I learned that Sechi was having a bad night of throwing up and slept past his pool and missed final bracket.
Right, you're telling me you don't like Trips Falco?
or some stuff like that. So it's the Europeans I'm more worried about. I think that the American players are there. They've spent enough money. They're there, to fully try their hardest, or at least be present competitively speaking. It's the Europeans that I don't see that often going against each other, gentlemaning to either play secondaries or not showing up to their pool because they're having too much fun. In which it's great, but
you say this not even a month after Zain went Roy at Wave Dash. So
I think there's a difference between him going Roy at Wave Dash and flying like
I literally don't. I think it's the exact same thing. I think it's like less of an actual distance, like by flight.
It's pretty comparable.
You might be right.
It's like 5 hours to LA, and I think it's like 6 or 7. I know when I went to the UK, I was like, oh yeah, this feels like going to LA.
Yeah,
I feel like a bigger investment. Why does
Edmund, the
it feel
thing
like a
is,
bigger investment then?
they're going to a
It's
place
true.
that's like more fun to hang out in. Maybe not Ponton, what is it? Ponton Park, Camber Sands, Pontins in Camber Sands. But like, I don't know. I could see him being like, yeah, we just like spent the whole day in Constable's Corner or whatever fucking shit they have over there in that weird country. Like, I could see him just sightseeing and then being like, yeah, I just kind of want to, not focusing. I decided to go to the Buckingham Palace instead of practicing
maybe.
my Ices chain grabs.
You know, I guess when you put it that way in terms of distance, maybe. I don't know.
America's big, bro.
True. We're big and we're better. Swift, I don't know if you know it. This is American Excellence Podcast.
Is
and it
it?
only started once we started talking to Europeans, and I guess I went to Europe. I know
We're
that
pro
you guys have been there
scab,
before.
pro America.
We're pro scab.
What
Yeah,
else?
we
Oh
are
my God,
pro
don't run
scab.
this in
USA.
Finland.
Yeah, I mean, all I'm saying is the Swedes came over to America, and their room felt like it was like advertising for every single like fast food place in America. They had trash from like every single place that you could DoorDash.
God.
And I did watch a video.
I swear to
today.
God, they must have had like 3,800 calories every single meal. Like they ate so
I
much.
I can't imagine.
We had
I
to
was like,
actually
it's
explain
so
to
funny.
Abe what DoorDash was. Also.
Really? They don't have
Dude,
that
it
over
was
there?
so
Same with
good.
the phone and any bit of any bit of modern technology.
Yeah, Abe, it's amazing he gets places considering he doesn't know what a plane is. That's just that's the where he lives. He lives in Hicktown, Sweden. Anyway, they were ordering like Papa John's and Little Caesars and shit like that. It's like, wait.
It's so greedy. They,
They
gotta
probably
play
felt awful,
too.
dude.
Oh my
They
god,
probably felt
yeah.
terrible.
I can't play if
I
I,
know,
eat like shit.
He like forced out Calvar after that. I think there's something different with Abe.
Like that's a skill that so many melee players. Dude, I found out that Spark's diet is actually just milkshakes and candy. And he was like, "Yeah, I found out this weekend that if I exercise, my reactions are better." Like you just found. I thought you were joking on Twitter with your milkshake obsession.
Your spark is pretty good, Swift. I like
Thank you,
it.
thank you.
It's a good
Yeah,
spark.
there's a video I have. I gotta dig it up. It's from Smash World Tour. We go to like a Dave and Buster's type thing, like an arcade, and he there's like a lot of candy options, and of course he's spending all of his like tickets on the candy.
Yeah.
But there's like single like a single like Tootsie Roll style thing, and he just gets like 50 of those, and he gets like 50 of each flavor instead of just like a large thing. So the person just is there counting it out, and then like someone else comes over, like two coworkers are there counting out, and like he's basically spending the equivalent of like 1/4 of what it'd take to get like the SpongeBob plush doll or something. It's like not worth their time
I
at
love
all.
Spark.
Now he is driven by candy and milkshakes.
It's
no
wild.
joke.
We went to get food, and like there was like a sushi place. We went to a dumpling place, with like 13 people, and it was too packed. So there was two other places in this parking lot. There's a sushi place, and there was this place called Dave's Hot Chicken. And we had to play the next morning. And Spark was like, "I cannot eat sushi. I need my spicy Dave's Hot Chicken." And he was really into the Dave's Hot Chicken, apparently.
Yeah, he's someone who went to Fate last year. I wonder how he fares over there in the land of
Is he going
less
again?
flavor. Is that the nicest way to say it?
Spark? I don't know if Spark's going.
Yeah, they
think
tend
he's
to
there.
like. I don't know if it's Fate who flies people out, or if people because last year was B-Bats. B-Bats unfortunately does not seem to be going this year.
Oh,
even though
really?
he signed up. Yeah,
Oh,
He was signed up, but he can't find his passport.
Can't find
Oh,
his passport.
Billy. God.
I know Mech went last year, but yeah, we've got like a crew this year that I think rivals some of the strongest things that some of the strongest tournaments that we've seen outside of North America in a pretty long time. I'd say probably like the DreamHack Winters is probably last time we had something this strong. Now here's a question, Edwin. You said that you worry about the Europeans more than the Americans, and under questioning you did kind of fall back on that. But I guess I have a question for you, Edwin. Out of the Europeans who go here, are there any who you expect to kind of make a breakout? There's a lot of talent here who doesn't get a chance to travel. especially because of COVID, a lot of people who are this good, like, I don't think have been to North America for a tournament at all before. So is there anyone who kind of stands out to you as, like, people to really watch out for?
Yeah, there's a few names I want to bring up that I don't think I'm going to be going to out of the left field with this, but there's obviously the Melee Stats favorites.
True.
Mo
Let's go,
is
Mo.
going is going to be there. I think Pipsqueak is someone who could certainly do quite well at this event. This is a player who finished top 25 last year. Had a deceptively low. Is that how I would describe it? Deceptively high. I don't know. It had kind of a strange performance at Genesis where he didn't really do bad, but he ran into Sunsei and Amsa kind of early.
Yeah.
And the only other thing we've seen from from Pipsqueak at like a very big event is that he won Smash Sauna, which seemed pretty expected and strong for him. So I'm excited to see how he would do. I believe the way that the seeding would work out for this tournament is that he'd probably play Josh Man in winners round of 16, the most likely outcome. So
Tough
I'm interested to see how that goes. Fox Ditto between two top 25 caliber foxes. The other names I'd want to bring up, other than Abe and Sharp as other Melee Stats people that would be here, would be I'm pretty interested to see how Frenzy does. This is a player who I thought had a really good start to last year. I believe he ended eventually somewhere in the lower end of top 50, but I think Frenzy's potential and caliber of play is quite high when he's firing on all cylinders. And unfortunately, just for him, that hasn't been in the cards with his results this year. But if I see Frenzy against a top 25 to 30 level Fox, like Frenzy versus Aklo in bracket or something, I don't think it's inconceivable to imagine that going Frenzy's way. I think Frenzy's someone who punches above his weight class particularly well, which is going to sound funny because Frenzy's reputation within the UK is, he's a very beloved player, but he's not Professor Pro, right? But I think that the UK scene in general this year has kind of been in flux because Prof hasn't been as active or committed to competing as he was for, the last decade or so. I think Frenzy is kind of the heir apparent to that throne on the UK. This is someone we've seen show extremely strong results against your Zuppies and Salts and of the world last year. And I don't think it's too crazy to imagine this event to be one where maybe we see him in winner's side of winner's quarters, or we could see him making a top 8 run at. He's quite good. I think very favorably of him. He's definitely someone that I would have my eye out for, and I think it could help him too because I think with a really great performance here and maybe a solid one at Gommel, Frenzy could at the last minute just sneak it onto a ballot for some ranked top 50 and position himself as someone to look out for in the second half of the year as well.
I applaud you for taking the prompt of what European players are looking out for. I specifically mentioned people who have not gone to America ever. I applaud you for taking that prompt and giving me Frenzy, a player who we know has gone to America. He's actually one of the most traveled European players we've seen. So I appreciate that. I think you also mentioned Pipsqueak, who would be the person who rivals him for most traveled European who's not Leffen. No, I think, yeah, those are definitely some good answers. I want to talk about Kingu. No, I don't. I'm joking. I don't want to talk about Kingu.
We can't give him attention.
Kingu is going to... I don't know if he's going to do well or do poorly. It's going to be funny. I don't know how it's... Like, whatever happens, it's going to be hilarious. That's all I know about Kingu.
Yeah.
Oh,
do you know about Kingu, Swift?
I do not, but I kind of feel the vibe from if he does well, it'd be funny. If he doesn't do well, it'd be fun. That's how I feel about Malachi.
Yeah.
I just saw him at the bracket, and I'm just like, if he does well, this is hilarious. But if he doesn't, he's still Malachi. And he is
Can you imagine if Kingu beat Fiction?
Oh my god.
Oh god. He's kind of like if you took Paddington, the bear, and just like instead of really like doe-eyed and like cute, instead he was just like very confrontational, I guess. He's he's an interesting person. I do think if he beat Fiction, he would never let anyone live it down.
I mean, Mog also doesn't, but
true. Difference
I wonder how Kingu versus Mog would go.
Mog is
he would lose.
Mog is the most Dark Souls boss melee player out of any melee player in the world. But he has the most cracked shield grabs. Ask any top player, Mog is the best shield grabs. And low percent chain grabs. But then he only covers like the same things. My favorite Mogism is that when he down smashes you, he only hopes that you're gonna tech into him or tech in place so that another down smash hits. So if you just always tech away, he will never cover it. Like that.
I've
is
run
just
into
him.
Mog on unranked before. That guy, he's thinking on a different level. He's horrifying.
He is really on a different. I've asked him to play, and he said, "I can't play you right now. I'm too sober." He's direct quote.
That's
Yeah.
Hey, speaking of which, we Kinku came to America and he got some very strong weed, and this little British child, he of legal age to smoke weed, I guess. I'm actually not sure if that's
That was
true.
like 19,
18.
18. Okay.
This is his first Fete because it's an 18+ event, so this is the first one he's attending. Yeah, I know he got really high at Collision. He said that he didn't know he was playing Sheik until she transformed into Zelda to like to recover. He thought he was playing Marth, and I was like, "What the fuck? What the fuck, bro?"
Sounds
I mean,
like
he,
an 18-year-old.
I think
scrawny kid smoking weed for the first time.
I think he triple 3-stuck this person, so I think it's fine. But no, Kingu is someone to look out for. I guess the player who I'm using my turn to mention though is not going to be Kingu. It's another up and coming fox from the Queen's Dominion, from the Commonwealth. I'm going to pick a fox who Ambi and I very much enjoy watching, and I don't really know if that means that he is going to do well here, but he is definitely one of the biggest wild cards at this event, even more so than the Europeans. I'm going to pick Goody. Goody as a player, he is pretty much de facto number one in Australia, I would say. He's definitely, performing the best in Victoria and Melbourne, which is, kind of where they have most melee going on there. That's Josh Ben's former region. He has been playing the demon that is McLeod's box peach, the one that Pedge dashes or whatever they call it. And Ambito will watch it, and I'll let him kind of explain some of the details, but he looks like if Naruto played the game. Like, the way that he plays, it just, like, when you watch Naruto, he just kind of runs in it, like, because he believes so much, and it, like, works out. Like, you watch Naruto, and it's like, oh, yeah, dude, he's less technical than Sasuke or whatever, but for some reason he's got the Sasuke. Heart. He's got the heart, and when I watch Goody, I feel it feels like
yeah,
Naruto
he falls into that camp of player for sure. Yeah.
Now, Abby, you're the machine that I give that into, and then you like computer inputs it, or I input it to the computer, and then you output it into like, yeah, what he's doing is he's actually like. Yeah, so do that for what I just said. He plays like Naruto.
Oh my god.
And then you say.
I'm trying to remember what I said. Let me see if I can find it.
I think it was something about fainting approaches a lot, right?
Yeah, I said Goody, definitely a mover. I think he's good at approaching. Definitely announces he's going to approach, but then he does a mix-up approach, which gives the opponent the chance to be mentally prepared when they start to run in. But they don't know how he's going to run in, so it's still, like, kind of uncertain what's going to happen. But, like, he's like, I'm going to attack you now. And then he'll, like, run all the way across the stage, and he'll either do, like, a beat one, like, dash attack, or he'll do, like, a full hop to bait, like, a Sheik board tilt or something and then land on top of him. One of those, I'm definitely going to hit you now type of players. I think I said that, and then you posted, like, 4 Naruto gifs in our chat, and I was like, yeah, good talk. That's
I think I was right. I think
right.
we both explained it just as well. He plays like Naruto, and then you say that he with the exact way he approaches.
God.
I think we've both did a good enough job at explaining it.
This is making me think of a Laudandicism, where I think there's a scene in Naruto or something where he's getting like beat up, and he says something about the power of friendship, and he runs at his opponent like completely on fire and just engulfs them, and like he ends up winning the fight or something. And Laudandis had a theory that when Fox firefoxes into Sheik or just any character that he's going against, he's actually doing the friendship combo that Naruto innovated in the show or whatever, and comboing it into up air or whatever. So he was like, when I edgeguard Fox and I got hit by that, I just always think of Naruto. And the Fox player afterwards is like, oh, I hit you with the power of friendship and my skill. And it's like, no, I just dropped an edgeguard.
I don't know. When it's Goody, it feels like the power of friendship. There's something about him, like, because he, like Ambi says, he just kind of telegraph his approaches. It, like, feels like you're on his side so much. Like, he runs across the full stage. You're like, okay, he's about to attack, and like it gives you time to prepare. Like you're on his side. And if it works, it feels amazing. And if it doesn't, it's like, no. It's definitely a roller coaster to watch him.
I do want to be clear. Goody's definitely like if we're talking about people in the post Josh Man like post sock climate of Australia, I think Goody's quite legit. Like this is something like
he's really good.
I took a look at some of his results since sort of Josh's departure and Sock's departure from competing, and in addition to winning that tournament over McLeod, he also won a recent tournament over SA Nick, which I think is a very good.
I think he just tends to win most things. He might drop a set, but I believe he has won the majority of tournaments since since
that sounds
Josh
about right.
left and since Sock kind of.
He might actually have a tourney, or he might actually have a set over Josh. It might have been the Marth though. I forgot.
Yeah, I think it was the Marth. But like regardless, he is a very good player. Good. He is also just like your Australian syndrome currently, where he has the 32nd seed at this, which I think is in the range of what I'd say is probably right. It's just hard to know if that means that he should be like 20th or if he should be 50th. Like it's really tough to say until we see him actually play. And because of that, he's probably going to face some like really difficult opponents to get to a point. The only thing I'll say is that like whatever we see here is not going to be the end of Goody. He's got Gommel after this, which is it's going to be a pretty crazy trip from Melbourne to London to Toronto. So there's going to take some getting used to. I think this is his first NA tournament, or well, Gommel will be his first NA tournament. I don't think London is in North America. I'm not that dumb. So yeah, whatever happens with Goody at this tournament, it will not be the end. I want to see what happens at Gommel. I think he's a very fun player to watch and a player who backs up that exciting playstyle with actually like skill. I think he could be very good. Ambi, is there anyone who you kind of looked at as someone to look out for? I know we spent a lot of time on Goody, but I'm sure you've got some.
Yeah, I have a super quick point, and I'll segue actually from it. I'm super interested in Kinzo this tournament because I think that Kinzo kind of been popping off in Europe a little bit. And in particular, I think it's really interesting because Kinzo's a box Falco, right? And in my head, that's kind of weird. I feel like Falco, not a character I can super envision a lot of advantage to playing box Falco. Like I think you like look at Fox or maybe Peach, some other characters, and you're like, oh, okay, like this thing, that thing will be particularly better or whatever. To me, Falco seems really hard to play on box. So Kinzo's success is like a real mystery to me. I don't know if you have any thoughts about box Falco Swift. I feel like you're the expert here.
Yeah, so the thing is with box is that there's like a Reddit thread somebody posted is that the wave dash angle that the box has is specifically made for Fox. It's like the perfect Fox wave dash. Surprise! The controller made for Fox is buffing Fox in the guise of a nerf. But yeah, that also makes it so for other characters. I mean, I got lucky that Pikachu is also like that's a perfect angle for him too. But for characters like Sheik and Falcon and Falco, they just get screwed over. So I'm actually like really in favor of players should be able to choose what angles they get to wave dash with for box characters. As long as it's not like the perfect wave dash angle every time. Because of that. And I also do think that Falco is kind of nerfed a bit because every time I talk to my one friend who used to play box Falco, he's just like, I can't wave dash far. And Falco is just so big on getting big wave dash, like long wave dashes, that it's just like, you don't really get that much. Like in scenarios, it's like Falco doesn't benefit that much because of the slower jump squat anyway. It's like, what do you really even get? So it's just kind of like the same Falco, but with worse wave dashes. I don't know. Like I would never want to play box Falco, and if I did, I would just change the wave dash angle. But that's like pretty big.
Yeah, no. So I feel like kind of the same, right? Like I feel like all the little changes that people play, with box in particular, are things that are pretty bad for Falco.
Yeah.
But I think Kinzo being a top player in Europe as box Falco, like I've played box Falcos, and it's always like. I'm always like, oh, okay, good. It's a box Falco. It's like a normal Falco, but worse. Whereas, like, I never feel like that against any other person pulling up with a box. Somebody be like, oh, boy, here we go.
Like, box Fox is like an affront to God. It is just not
yeah, for
okay.
Real. But I'm excited to see Kinzo at this tournament. I think it's a bit tough with Kinzo not having Nikki around as much because I think that was his primary person to overcome in Germany. But Nikki just kind of not been entering stuff. Is Nikki going to this? I feel like I haven't heard anything.
I
about
don't
that.
believe Nikki is. No.
That is unfortunate. Nikki would have been fun to watch too.
Yeah, I know he's got he told me that he's got some stuff going on in terms of school. I think finals are happening like right now, like final exams. So probably just the wrong week because I know that he has talked about wanting to come to America again. I think he is more open to competing than he was maybe last year, but it just seems to be kind of the wrong timing.
Sure.
Anyway, Swift, you are obviously a player who has played a lot of people. You're obviously a player. Full
Yes.
stop. No, you played a lot of top talent here. Is there anyone in Europe that like you have not played yet who you want to play?
I don't know. Well, the thing is, I've never been to Europe. I haven't played many of the Europeans. I did want to play Triff some more because I played him at Collision. I got 3-0'd. He camped me so hard, and then I realized he camps everybody that hard.
Yeah.
I just play Pikachu, so I wanted to play him with my Fox because I've been working on Fox Pikachu or Fox Peach a lot again. And if I played him in bracket, I would have front Pikachu because I still would have had I still think I have a really good shot of beating Triff with Pikachu. It's just really hard, and I want to get the Fox good long term. But outside, I didn't get to play him. The only other European I've played other than like Leffen is like Pip. We played at the Function 2 like over a year ago now.
Oh, yeah.
I got 3-0'd, and my John is I did not eat for like 9 hours that day. And Pipsqueak is really good. That's part of the John.
Didn't he give you some fucked up like Power Shield F smash the other way?
Yeah, that was definitely an accident. I refuse to believe that wasn't an accident. But yeah, dude. Everybody's all. Whenever anybody's talked about Triff, it's just like, dude, this guy is so good, but he camps so hard. I was watching him and Mog play friendlies from across the fucking venue. I think this was like after Triff was out too. He was just playing for fun. Peach Dittos against Malachi, and he's up 4 stocks to 1, and I just see him go underneath Dreamland and just float there for a solid 3 seconds, and then return to the match.
Yeah, this was actually like a question that came up in the Melee Stats Discord, and where we were talking about, if your life depended on someone 4-stocking like 100 people in a row, a ton of people came up in conversation. But I'm letting you know, I think Ambi said this also. We might have actually been there also.
I wasn't there. I wasn't in that conversation.
But every single European smasher is like, it's Triff. Like, this guy not only is so happy to just ruthlessly
force-stock
people.
He's having so much fun.
He will camp.
That's the wild part. Because before I was like, man, he's just sweaty camping. But no, he's having a great time. He's just screaming.
He loves it.
He screams like a cartoon character when he plays. It is so funny. He's having so much fun, and I love it.
There's so many Europeans, like including top European players, like top 100 players, who just know the experience of what it's like to take Triff very close for a while, see him get a stock lead, float in the top right corner of the stage, and just like mercilessly destroy you.
Yeah.
He does it even when he's down also, and then he makes comebacks from it, which is crazy.
Like, when I've played my Collision, I didn't know that going in, and I was on like 4 hours of sleep off the Benjamin in my best mental state, and I was like, I got this. I'm good against Peach. And I was like, I've never been camped that hard. Like I could not hit him. That was really difficult. So yeah, it was him. But for other Europeans, none really come to mind. I've heard Abe's good. It'd be cool to play him, but can't think of anything else right now.
Abe very good. Abe also someone who last year on the Riptide bus did make fast friends with Blur because Abe said Pichu's actually hard for Marth, and Blur went thank you.
Me.
And I was like
so bad.
There's context here that's not being mentioned. There's context here which is not being mentioned, which is that
I don't want to mention the
Abe
context.
played Codeman at Big House, and Abe did not understand like what to do versus Codeman.
That's
So
fair.
he goes down 0-2 to Codeman, and like he just shouts like in the middle of the tournament, like, "You're so small. How do I hit you?"
Yeah, that's the thing. Is
then-
he's smaller than
Yeah.
Pikachu, so it's easier to nair him.
Yeah, he went
Yeah,
down
I
4
think-
stocks to 2 in the last game, and then took the next 4 stocks,
Damn.
or something like that.
He figured it out at some point, but it's very funny that he said that to Blur.
Yeah, Blur of all people.
Dude,
I mean,
was
like, to be
in between
fair,
them. Had to hear about that.
to be fair, out of all of the top tiers, it's like Marth is like Pichu's second best. You think I got a small side tangent. All the Marths are just like, yo, we solved this insurmountable Pikachu matchup. This is so difficult. Dude, the Falcons are just out here taking it. Pikachu does so much better against Falcon than Marth. All these Falcons, they're just like they're trying their best. They're trying to stop Nimi. You know, they're trying. The Marths just shield grab me 800 times. They're like, we're the goats. We've solved everything. We've solved this unwinnable matchup. I'm like, fuck you guys. You play Marth.
Yeah, I see nothing wrong with this. I'm with the Marths here. I'm sorry, Swift.
Angry.
Dude,
man.
no, I love this for the Falcons. Like the Falcons, just like they lose to a Pikachu, and they're like, "Yeah, Gravy did this once, right? I think I should be able to win this." Like,
Yeah.
I think
It's just like a
fine.
border. I think it's like slight Falcon favor, and then I think Pikachu Marth is like closer to as bad as Spaceys is to as bad as Falcon. I mean, it's still like a good matchup for Pikachu, but I also think it's just like I think it's really straightforward for Marth. It's just kind of difficult and unorthodox. Like if you watch Ghidorah play, it's just down tilt, fade back, forward air, down tilt, fade back, forward air, down tilt, fade. Shield
Let's
grab,
go.
shield grab, shield grab. Pikachu can't hit you.
Let's go.
I hate
Nair,
it, dude.
nair, dash in, but
Just
like dash
admit-
through to take center stage and then do nothing. It was
Just
nair
admit
again.
It's you're not doing anything that crazy. Just it's hard to hit Marth. Okay, admit that Pikachu's got to work really hard too. That's all I want. That's all I want. I hate the
No.
freaking
We'll
narrative.
never, we'll never do
admit
it.
The
We'll never
narrative's
do it.
Always pissing me off.
Well, before you fight Edwin, we've got some questions for you.
Go for it.
Now, that being said, this is our segment. We ask our patrons, for people who support us on Patreon, to ask some questions. They got really distracted in the patron channel today. I'm not going to talk about what. If you want to find out,
Yeah, this is
join
a
the Patreon. But we have no questions for you, so I think we're gonna come up with some on the fly. Edwin, it seems like you've got one. Your hand shot up like you're trying to prove to the teacher that you know. So you want to go first? You got a question for Swift?
Yeah, Swift, I want to ask you, because we didn't get to cover this, who's winning Fate?
Oh,
We
I have
didn't
no.
say that. Oh my God.
Yeah, we didn't say that.
Good question. Good
I mean, I
call.
always is
I'm
Zain
rusty.
entering.
J-Mook, Zain, Amsa. Yeah,
I
Zain's
always
there.
gotta
He might
root
go
for
Roy, though.
Zain because Zain's my boy. But I mean, he might go. I'm done with this guy. But who is gonna? That's hard.
It
Amsa's
feels
got
like
a good chance.
Yeah,
I
it feels
think,
like Amsa's got a really
yeah,
good chance,
because it's
right?
like Amsa gets like for Cody and Moki are so hard for I think Yoshi's shit. I think Amsa is just so cracked, and Yoshi's overrated as fuck, and yeah, him against like Moki and Cody is just so rough. They're not gonna be there. So Amsa, he's got J-Mook, which is another really hard matchup, but I don't think Jake is that great at it compared to like Plup. And then Zain, which is like Marth Yoshi, that's pretty hard for Marth. I know Zain still thinks that Marth wins, but he still has to like play it really well. It's not a bad matchup for Yoshi. Then H-Box might be hard, but I don't know.
Could be the
is-
H-Box tourney.
It could be an H-Box tourney. Damn, yeah.
You never know.
Zain
I
had to
think-
reverse the reality.
I think they're gonna make Amsa drink beer out of a boot. And I think he's fucked. Like he doesn't have the constitution for Fate.
We'll see. I think he's got it. This makes the most sense. So like, the weird part of my brain says no. It makes the most sense. It won't happen. But I just think he is a guy who has been like really used to traveling more than any other top
Yeah.
player. Probably like Leffen traveled a ton.
It's like the
Armada
long
back then.
distance stuff.
But yeah,
because he was
yeah,
fighting
like, he
every
is
single
used to the
major
long
like
distance.
that, and he still travels. Like
He won the last Fate.
Before Apex. I went to the nightclub to get my controller fixed, and he was just at the nightclub like right before Apex, and I was like, "When did your flight get?" And he was like, 2 hours ago I landed. He took like a cross-country flight, went straight to the venue to compete, and then won the tournament. So
Insane.
he's just like, and he's like the hardest labber. He's definitely like my biggest inspiration as a player because he's always just like innovating the character and just like labbing out, watching all the VODs and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And he's always so different from set to set. So that's why he's so interesting to watch. But it's just so hard when he runs into Cody and Moki, who are, it's just like, they're just so good at that matchup and they just make it so difficult for him. I want to see like him play Zain and see how those adaptations happened, and like him play Jake and see if, how did Jake adapt? How did Amsa adapt from the last set, you know? And watch like the last 2 minutes of Amsa HBox because I don't want to watch the whole thing. I'll peep in the last stock of each game and then the last 2 stocks for the last game, but
sometimes those are fun. I remember.
Yeah.
Was it main stage? I think main stage. Where he like rested Amsa, but it was Amsa's double jump and just like didn't break double jump armor, and it was last stock on FD and Amsa just F smashes him, and then there's a guy who is not. I think like people would know him. He's not a player, but he's like a person who people know in the scene. I won't say who it was, but he just did double burns to the screen when HBox got got F smashed. I guess that's what you do. I don't know. Give double burns when HBox gets fucked up. Speaking of HBox though, it does feel like, I said that Amsa, this feels like a tournament he really should win, and part of me feels like maybe it's not the best idea to pick someone just because like people very rarely win the tournaments that they should win. And I'm gonna say that goes like tenfold for HBox. This feels like a tournament that he should win. Like, right? Like, or he has a better chance at winning.
yeah, there's no foxes. Like I said earlier, the foxes are farming. Amsa, they're farming the HBox, dude. Yeah.
Like, Leffen's not there. Cody's not there. He's got Zain, who's always tough, and Amsa can be tough. But, like, he's shown stuff against both of them. So that makes me say he's not going to win because every now and then he'll win, like, 1 or 2 tournaments a year, and it's always him, like, beasting on people who fuck him. So, like, I'm going to say no. I'm going to say, because it looks like it's easy for HBox, I'm going to say he's not going to do well here. What about you, Edwin? You were the one who brought it up. Who do you think's winning?
I'm gonna fall for the HBox trap here. I think he wins. I think he's just like, this is someone who's so, he's not immortal against the field, but he still more or less seems like a pretty safe bet to get somewhere like winners quarters. He's gonna enter this tournament as like the 4 seed. Who's he gonna play? He's gonna play like Aklo or something. Yeah, that's like another game 5. Like we've seen, it's not impossible for Aklo to win that, but I'm just saying, like, in terms of crafting what a Hungrybox victory at this type of event would look like, what would it require, right? It'd require a field that he'd be good enough to defeat. It'd require a kind of tough opponent, but one that he's played multiple times before and feels some semblance of familiarity against. Like Aklo, it would require him drawing like, Zain is kind of tough, but he was up 2-0. That doesn't seem to be hopeless like it was
not at
not
all.
too long ago. Amsa, he's working on evening out his record against him. And I would say, honestly, among the top 4 seeds, I hate saying this sort of thing, but you could not have out of the top 4 seeds in each of their most favorable opponent, you can't think of anything more favorable by the numbers than HBox versus Jmook, right? Mm-hmm. So if he makes it to Jmook in like winners finals or something, that's as good of a draw as anyone could possibly have against another top echelon rival. So yeah, I'm gonna fall for the Hungrybox trap here. I think he'll win.
Ambi
I think Joshman will win.
I love Joshman.
I'm saying it.
I don't even want
I'm trying to imagine a world where all these players are completely trash, and if everyone's trashed and talking shit, I think Joshman clears.
True.
I don't know. The vibes are perfect. He was so close to beating Hungrybox.
True.
He's beaten Amsa. Zain might go Roy. Jmook might not even go. He was sick.
True.
Do we need the Joshman dub?
What is there left?
I'm open for it.
Hungrybox is like Jake, please.
Joshman, empowered to talk in the middle of a set, beats any player in the world, I think. So.
True.
He's too charismatic.
It's not bad.
I'm not going to come up with any reasons against it. I think that's a perfect prediction. Now, Swift, we said we would have some questions for you. We're kind of getting to the end of the show, so maybe we kind of truncate it. I'll smush two things together because we've got a famously unnamed segment known by the fans affectionately as Touching Grass. Is the segment where we talk about what's been going on in our lives that's outside of Melee. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to add a question to it to try to create a sort of question segment, sort of Touching Grass segment. So I want to talk about something that was going on with me this past week. I was obviously not on the podcast. It was because I was on vacation. I was on vacation. My extended family gets a shore house down at the Jersey Shore every single year. Spends a week there. It's always a great time. This is also like a weird time because my cousin didn't go, who's the closest in age to me, just because he just got married. And I like didn't drink a lot. I drank like one beer every couple days, like every 2 days. So it was like a very fun trip to get there and just like kind of vibe and get to watch some of the tournament on my phone and also just get to hang out with my family. But one of the things that while I was there, I asked a question to some of my family members that I've asked to the people on this very podcast off air. And I think it fits you very perfectly. And you know, you are a person who I saw you tweet about Pokemon recently. You just was it Fire Red and Emerald?
So I did Nuzlocke, a Fire Red, and Emerald, and I did it where I caught one Pokemon per gym instead of one per route.
Oh shit!
And that's how I prepared for the tournament. And I thought it'd be funny, instead of tweeting that I qualified for the bracket, I tweeted about my Pokemon Nuzlocke.
Well, it was funny, but it also piqued my interest. So I'm going to ask you a question that I asked to my brother, my cousins, and so, you know, et cetera, et cetera. And I think there's a very obvious answer. So if you answer the obvious thing, I think that's great. If you don't answer, I think that's also great. It's good 50-50 here. If you were a gym leader, what would your type be? You know, every gym leader has their type of Pokemon that they specialize in. So my question to you is, if you're a gym leader, what would your type be?
Well, I feel like you'd think I'd say electric because
Yeah?
of Pikachu, but my favorite, I love all the dark type edgy Pokemon.
Yeah.
I like Zoroark, Absol, Tyranitar. It's like it just like I'm surprised I didn't grow up as a furry because those are like my favorite Pokemon. Like Umbreon too. All the edgy, like
Umbreon's
cool looking dark type Pokemon is what I do. And I started going on Pokemon Showdown and I just run like hard stall. Like make the game last over 100 and I just think it's so funny. And I call it you guys know Faust the Puff player?
Yeah.
Yeah, so a lot of times
I can see where this is going.
I'll queue into Pokemon Showdown, the ladder, and then people will see I played stall and they'll just leave. I told one of my friends, Matt, that, and he goes, "Oh, it's like when people see Faust when they play him on ranked. They just leave."
Oh my god.
He's a really close friend of mine. I've told him this before.
Oh, that's
I
so
think
funny.
I have, but yeah. So I do love Pokemon.
That's good.
Yeah, so my
That's
touch
really good.
grass is playing Pokemon. I have a Pikachu made.
Well, so okay, so you're dark type. You said
Yeah.
Ambi. I know we talked about it. I don't know if we talked to you about this, Edwin. Mine. I mean, blue's my favorite color. I always pick the water Pokemon, and like I thought that was gonna be my pick, and then I thought about it for another second. I was like, you know what's actually funny? I think it'd be really funny to be a normal type. I think the normal types are so interesting to me because like they're either just like normal guy or there's someone who's like, I'm wacky but I'm a normal type, and I think that'd be really funny to be. And I thought of it. Oh my god, sorry, I kicked my camera. I don't know why I said sorry. I've been watching some Wolf Glick videos, so
I love Wolfie.
I've definitely not taken in what he's saying because he's just like talking about like the actual competitive aspect of it, and I'm just like, cool. Like I'm not really understanding, but I've decided that my team would be a kind of a selection of Pokemon that I like and Pokemon that I also know have some utility in some sets of Pokemon, like in some rule sets. So I'd pick Snorlax, Chansey, both Pokemon that I like. Smeargle, who I think has a very interesting, you know,
It's like one of the most
moveset.
hated Pokemon
Yeah,
in competitive.
That's fun. And
Pretty
then
funny.
the new one is Mousehold, the
Mousehold is
Pokemon
hilarious,
Tandem Mouse.
yeah.
You know, they're two mice, and then they evolve to a family of like
Three to
three or
four.
four mice. So I think that sounds like a hilarious team.
The
I don't know.
Dunsparce.
I I want to pick people who I like. I don't really know if that would be a team that you could actually run, but I think it'd be a very funny team to run
Yeah.
into if you were like in a game. Edwin, yeah, what would you say, Edwin? I don't know if we ever asked you this.
Yeah, I don't think you have. So one
Mad at
thing
me for
just
never asking.
no, so just one thing for reference. My understanding of Pokemon is from a very stupid source. My like main source of exposure to Pokemon growing up was playing Pokemon Stadium for the N64,
I
but with
love that
only
game.
rental Pokemons.
Yeah,
And if
same.
you're familiar with only rental Pokemons, it's like the movesets don't really make sense for some of the evolutions, and the meta game is just extremely degenerate and like really and like playing against the CPU, like going through Gym Leader Castle and all this shit is just like it's really grating and just painful. I've beaten the game with rentals only. I've even beaten round 2 with rentals
It's
only.
impressive. That's hard to do.
Yeah, but it honestly, like you're saying that it's not. It's literally just
That's
like
fair.
roll. It's like picking the same like 2 or 3 teams and just like
Yeah.
watching the CPU just like rob a win from you, and then you just go in with the same strategy
Yeah.
again.
I like
But
watching sorry to cut you up, but I like watching Worster. He speed runs Pokemon games and he'll just be like
Worcester is so funny.
big 11 hours
I'll
of
check it out.
running Pokemon Stadium, and he's just this really angry Australian guy. He'll just get hit
That's
with
funny.
a crit. It's so
Yeah,
angry.
I did a Pokemon Stadium rental draft with some of my friends for the free battle thing. But oh, sorry, I have to answer the question. But that's my main. So knowing that, I would say probably Ghost or Psychic, one of those two. If I had to pick one, I always like Haunter as far as like vibes behind a Pokemon are concerned. So I'll probably go Ghost. I don't know how good that actually is.
I think it's like arguably the best type, honestly.
What about you, Ambi? I remember you had some very Ambi explanation of what you picked, and I think it just ended up being. I remember what it was.
Well, okay, so what is it? So I think I picked Fairy type, and
Yeah, you did.
I think you got mad at me for picking Fairy type, and you told me it was cheating. I was like, I just feel like Fairy is the second like a Pokemon with 2 types. Fairy is like the coolest one to get like a wide range of cool things because you get like Mimikyu, you get fucking Gardevoir, you get Zoomeril, you get like Togepi, you get Clefable. Like I think that like Fairy type has a very cool spread, right? Of
Clefable's
of
Fairy?
cool Pokemon.
Oh, I didn't
Yeah,
Clefable,
it's
yeah.
new, right? And like in Gen 7 or Gen 6 or something, like they
6, I
moved
think, yeah.
Clefable and Clefairy from normal to Fairy type.
Dude,
And I think
Clefable
you
was
got
on
mad
my
at me
draft
'cause-
team. I will say that much.
Yeah, yeah.
Fable's
Dude, that's-
broken.
That's why I was
She's
mad
so
at you, is
broken,
because
yeah.
Clefable's on my Fire Red team right now, and she got me through like all the hard times. I was mad at you because you took a Pokemon that I can't have because I'm a normal type. I want to.
Yeah.
She was normal for so long, but I can't.
Yeah,
have
Swift.
her.
I
That's
used
why I
double
was mad at
team
you.
in my draft tournament. I used
No.
double team Clefable and just my friend who's like into Pokemon but like didn't really play Stadium that much growing up was so mad at me. He was like,
Not
"This
your
is the
friend
dumbest-"
anymore after clicking
Yeah.
double team.
He was like, "This is the stupidest." Like he's not super into like competitive stuff. He just likes Pokemon a lot.
Yeah.
But he was mauling. He was like, "This is so dumb. I can't hit you, and you're just wasting turns."
I definitely love competitive Pokemon because it's like, it's where I can play. It's like with Melee, it's like a game I played since I was a kid, and I like got into the competitive scene and learned all about it and got really good. But Pokemon is where it's like I can learn all about it, and I'm just bad at it still. I just
Yeah,
I just hover.
I literally just looked up
If
cheese
Elo-
strategies.
I just think it's a funny game. Like I can't take it too seriously to get good at because I'm like about to win, and then I just like, oh, I missed my 95% accurate move. That's
Yeah.
the game.
Yeah, for what it's worth, I want to be clear. Like, I'm not into competitive Pokemon at all. I literally just looked up, like, okay, I need to find like the
The easiest
most
way to
degenerate,
choose is
like
just
noob
click double
slayer
Fucking Marth
strategies.
players, dude.
Like, I don't know anything about Pokemon. There's like no, there's no. I just know rental only. Stadium 1.
It's funny because I did a Pokemon draft league thing with Mog, famously one of my favorite people in the Melee community, and he plays Pokemon the way he plays Melee. It's kind of hard to describe
Oh
if you
my.
don't know both games, but he just does. He just sends in Volcarona, just clicks quiver dance and just tries to sweep you. No reads made. Just go. I'm gonna send in the strong guy and try to kill you.
Hey, if it works, it works.
It works.
I think we've been having a great time. We've exhausted a lot of our touching grass segment. So, Ambi, if you want to do one, 30 to 40 seconds, do a real quick touching grass. What's been going on with you recently?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I've just been at
ITG? I don't know.
LCS since the last time.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I played IGG. I
Anime
got
Expo.
Stamina Nation ranked 1
I'm just telling you
qualification
what to
today,
say.
which was cool. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I've just fucking been doing shit. I've mostly just been doing homework, which is awful. If any of you are thinking about doing part-time master's degree alongside Melee, alongside a job, don't don't do that. Save yourself. But yeah, no, I've just been busy, so that's 30 seconds,
Edwin,
right?
You get 20 seconds.
Oh god, what am I talking about? I've been biking. I've been cooking more often. I watched all of the Rocky and Creed movies.
Best one, worst one.
Worst Rocky 5, best either Rocky 1 or Creed 1.
Very good. We should do touch and grass like this all the time. Swift, do you have any? We talked a lot about Pokemon.
Yeah, I
Do
talked
you have
about
anything
playing Pokemon. That's not touching grass much, but
well, touching grass for us generally is like what movie we watched recently.
yeah, I mean it's just not Melee. But yeah, so I've been working out a lot. I like working out, running. I'm really big on like the cold shower stuff. I love taking cold showers.
Yeah,
It just makes
especially with the weather outside.
yeah,
in
it's
the
really
it's
summer,
like
muggy.
90 degrees. And I just take the
Yeah.
cold. It sucks when you're in it. Once you get out of it, it's just like
Yeah, it
it's like
rules.
there's science behind it and stuff.
I just took a cold shower like 4 hours ago. It was awesome.
Yeah, and it's yeah, like working out. I've been it took me like I graduated around a year ago this time, or more so like May of last year, and I haven't found a job until I got an internship this summer. So I've been working for Sony, and it's just completely
Nice.
remote. So that's actually why I
You
got to
going
go
to
to
Evo?
LACS. What?
Are you going to Evo?
I'm not going to Evo.
Uh,
But yeah, it's like just working. It's like my first big internship job kind of thing, especially because I was in the middle of I went to college during COVID, so it was really hard to find a job out of school because I didn't have any internship experience. But now that I'm working, I got like a nice little routine of like, work, play Melee, work out, all that stuff. So just I've been doing really good lately. I like this segment.
That's sick.
Yeah, it's a good
Yeah,
segment.
I mean, hey, if we didn't have so much fun in the beginning of the show, we probably could have extended it. But I want to get you out of here at a reasonable time. We've already hit 2 hours because I mean, you've been so much fun to talk to. But we got to let you live your life. You're a busy man. Yeah, thanks for being on the show.
Yeah, thanks
This
for having me. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, first time guest for us, and I had a blast talking to you. So if anyone wants to follow you, where can they do so?
Wait, what is I gotta look up my Twitter. Sorry. I am like such an introverted, like don't look at me kind of person, so I'm not very active on anything. But Swift SSBM on Twitter is where you can follow me. I don't really stream much. Swift Pika is my stream. I might stream at some point, but yeah, just my Twitter. If you want to check out the Prism too, I'll give them a nice shout out. It's I'll put it in the chat. It's WUNVZN.com. Woonviz. I don't know what the VZN stands for even, but yeah, that's the website where you can like get to the Discord and everything. I just feel like I should shout them out because the person that makes the Prism is just like one person, and she's just made me mine for free because he's like, I want to give you a sponsorship and I want you to give me as much advertising as possible. So like I'm trying to hold up my end of the bargain. So I'm always trying to shill for it whenever I can, and it's a sick controller. So yeah, shout outs to them for sure.
That's so sick. Yeah, I hope we get to see more of you at events, even if it's just hanging out, chilling. Hopefully you get to do whatever you want.
Maybe the Pichu comes out at a major at some point. That's a big maybe.
Gotta play Abe.
We got to keep him away from Abe and the Marts. keep him away from.
Oh, we can give him the Marts, just not Abe.
Just not Abe. Poor guy. We have to keep him four stocking Triff online. And we can't give him a Pichu.
We need a
anyway.
Swift Pichu versus Heavenly Sunflower
Who's Heavenly
matchup.
Sunflower?
He's formerly known as Load Spiller,
Was he the
Icy's
Bowser?
God.
an Icy's turned Bowser player.
That'd be a wild match.
I actually don't think we need that.
We really, I'm
gonna
Yeah, I think I'm
inclined
good.
to agree with Wheat here.
I think we're
It's
fine.
horrifying. You don't want to see it. It's like
Anyway.
it's as upsetting as it is impressive to see.
You hit the secret word, like the secret word where we end the show, and that word is Bowser versus Pichu matchup, which is not a word, but I wasn't the one who came up with it. So I think we have to end the show now. You mentioned Bowser versus Pichu matchup. I think we
It's only downhill from there.
obligated to leave.
Yeah.
Swift, you're awesome. I appreciate you so much, but we'll have you on in the future because
Yeah,
this is
I'd love
such a
to. Yeah,
blast. Thanks for being on. Thank you everyone for watching. We'll be back next week. We got a lot to talk about with Gommel coming up. The Summer Smash continues, so we will be on for a couple more episodes before we go back to our every other week schedule. But until then, if you want to catch these episodes live, twitch.tv/MeleeStats. We upload them to YouTube at the Melee Stats archive. You can find our long-form videos over there at the at Melee Stats on YouTube. Twitter.com/MeleeStatsPod. Not on Threads or Blue Sky right now. I don't know. Is that a thing? I truly don't think that either of those will pop off, but we'll find out. Melee Stats Pod, that's where you can find our daily results reporting. Some other stuff there. We've got links to our content over on MeleeStats.co. That's our website where you can find articles such as Monday Morning Marth and When's Melee. And if you love everything we do and you just want to support us in the best way possible, patreon.com/MeleeStats. We've got some cool stuff coming up. We've got some more players to announce. We've got some stuff like that. I'm very excited about the summer in terms of Smash and in terms of Melee Stats. So stick around. Keep an eye out for us. And, we will be back next week to talk about this crazy summer we're having. Thanks, everyone, for watching. Peace.